Alex and T-Bone. I'm BK. Got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We are broadcasting live once again out of the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center, where the Blues took the ice earlier today for day 2 of Blues training camp. And Alex, one of the biggest things that I noticed, man, Justin Carbonneau's good. He's really good.
The phenom from the 2025 NHL draft.
I don't know what it means, Alex.
Gretzky, that's what it means.
No, I don't know what it means. I don't know if this is something that will sustain into preseason. I don't know if it's something that will even allow for him to make the roster. But it does get me excited about what the Blues potentially have with their first-round pick from this year. Justin Carbonneau, this year's first-round selection, he looked the part on the ice. And this is one of the things for me, Alex, in a preseason setting or in a training camp scenario, you just need to check boxes. He checked a box when he got here for development camp. All right, looks better than his peers. Great, that's the way that he should. When he goes to the prospects tournament, checked a box. Looked as good as you would expect him to, again, against his peers. The next box that he had to check in order to, open some eyes and make it even a conversation about whether or not he was going to be able to make this roster in 2025, long shot, but possible technically, was to look good in training camp setting against grown-ass men who he's trying to take their job. And today, as we were out there at the skate, man, he had, 4 different passes?
Yeah.
4 different ways to set up his line mates and put it in spots where only his guy was going to be able to make a play. Is the physicality there? I don't know. Hard to know in this kind of a setting. Is he going to be able to hold up to the board battles? I don't know in this kind of a setting. That's all stuff, again, the next box to check, preseason games. We'll find out there. But the first thing you can do is open up eyes at training camp, and Alex, so far, so good in that regard for Justin Carbonneau.
Yeah, look, I mean, for Carbonneau to make the team out of camp, it's really going to come down to how do you look in terms of board battles against NHL players. Like when you go down into his corner with a defenseman like Saturday, if he plays against the Dallas Stars, and let's say Esa Lindell is playing in that game. If you go down into a corner in Esa Lindell and don't look like you can compete in there, then it's hard to make the roster, because when you're playing on a third-line role, you still have to be competitive in those corners. That's really what this is going to come down to if he gets his shot. But you always look at the benchmarks for guys like this. Were you the best of your group when you came in on that rookie camp right after you were drafted? Yeah, pretty obvious he was. Were you the best in your group at the prospect tournament? A lot of people said he was one of the best players on the ice between the Minnesota Wild and the Blackhawks. And then in prospect camp, are you one of the best guys in the category of other players that you're around? And when it comes to him, Dvorsky, Stenberg, and then add in Joseph and Texier from what we've seen, again, in 2 practices at camp, he's looked like the best player. He's making stick-to-stick passes. He's making tape-to-tape passes. That doesn't typically happen with a rookie when you're playing with the speedster,
it's been him, Holloway, and shit.
Yeah, I mean, with Dylan Holloway out there, like, he's making tape-to-tape passes, but he's also making behind-the-back passes that are in the right spot at the right time. He's taking guys' sticks away defensively, and he's pulling them out there. So if the Blues want to go down this path, and I was trying to look this up before we went on the air, Robbie Fabry was the guy that Doug Armstrong referenced that made this team when he was 19 years old. Jaden Schwartz did this.
Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Yeah, please, sorry.
We've got this audio. So the other day, this was what kind of threw me off of the scent. And honestly, I still think it's kind of a long shot. But Doug Armstrong was talking to the media about Justin Carbonneau and whether or not it is likely that he could make the roster. Go ahead and take a listen to what he had to say.
I just go back on our history where we haven't had a lot of players, maybe Robbie Thomas and Robbie Fabry, make the team at 19. Now, you'll see, I think he's going to play with some good players in camp. We're going to take a look at it. I'm not here to dash his hopes and dreams of having a good camp. The likelihood of him making our team isn't great, but I didn't think it was for Robbie Fabry either that year. If he comes in and he's good enough and he slides into that right wing spot somewhere, he can have it. He's just got to keep everybody out. So the difference was when he goes back to junior, he's in junior. But again, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We have a long-term approach with him, as we do all our young players, and we're not going to deviate from that for self-gratification of having a first-round pick in our lineup.
by Bud Light, Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite, Bernie Federko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring.
We're back.
Hey.
Sometimes you get termites into the technology situation.
Whoa. No,
We're
you
back.
don't. I take care of those. I'm a hero with termites. Maybe some other type of pest.
With Alex and
Squirrels.
T1 on BK, we got Jordan Deacon back in the studio with us today. We are broadcasting live at the E&B Granite Studios out of the Centene Community Ice Center, where the Blues took the ice earlier today, and we talked about Justin Carbonneau. I think Doug Armstrong cut our stream. Said, hey, no more hype.
Stop it.
No more hype. Chill out a little bit. We're going to be just fine. Let the guy take his time.
BK called him Gretzky, and then it all fell through there.
No, that was definitely me.
Yeah.
So as you heard, I think everybody heard, Doug Armstrong was definitely trying to downplay things, effectively saying, listen, I'm not expecting this kid to make our team. If he opens our eyes, it's available to him, but it's not something that we're currently anticipating. So, Alex, as we were getting ready to come back for you to respond or to react to that, I know you had mentioned you had seen something that stood out to you.
Yeah, so it was just kind of comparing the two guys that Doug Armstrong referenced and just talking about, like, okay, well, how did those guys make the roster? Because I specifically remember the Robbie Fabry camp. That was the first year that I was like covering the Blues for KMOX when I was working, and it wasn't like he was the best player on the ice, but it was a guy who brought an element that the Blues didn't have, and there was an obvious spot for them. And I don't know if you could argue there's an obvious spot for Justin Carbonneau right now, but there is a hole since Zach Bolduc was traded of a guy who could potentially put up points on a third-line role with a Neighbors and a Suter. Because Bjugstad moves to a fourth line, it's a perfect world. But if you looked at those teams that Robert Thomas and Robbie Fabry were on, the common theme was they were covered in depth. They didn't have to worry about Robert Thomas being a savior at 19 years old because they had Tarasenko and O'Reilly and Pat Maroon and all of these guys that they could move up and Thomas could go to the press box. Could they do that with a Justin Carbonneau? Yeah, I think so. They've got a lot of depth. They've got a Sundqvist, a Texier, a Joseph, a Lucic if he makes this squad. So I do think there's a path for him, but the only way that there's a path for him is if they feel as if he fits into the spot that he would be playing in, because he's not going to get a top six role. Do you fit in? Can you compete in terms of strength with these grown men in the NHL? And on top of it, will you get those 9 games and not be sitting up in the press box, because that stunts his development?
Yeah, if he's going to make this team, he's got to be in there, and then he's got to be in there for the first 9 games, and then let's see where he's at, right? Find out exactly how he matches up against grown men at this league. We've checked a few boxes. We need to check a few more, and we'll see where they're at. But, yeah, I was incredibly impressed today with what we saw from Justin Carbonneau. I would also say this. I think some of his potential of getting onto this roster is tied to whether or not Milan Lucic is able to make this roster. I don't know how you guys felt today, but the man looks the part. I mean, he's always going to have the size. He could be 50 years old. He goes out on his skates. He's going to look the part of being a huge individual.
Right.
That's just something that God gifted him with. But he also, he didn't look slow. He looked slower than others.
He looked like a 38-year-old fourth-line role player. That's what he looked like, and that's not a shot at him.
He didn't look like somebody, though, that hadn't played hockey in 2 years.
Correct.
He looked the part of a legit NHL massive fourth-liner. And so here is what Doug Armstrong had to say about Lucic a couple of days ago when he spoke to the media.
Now he's got to see if he can play hockey in the NHL. He hasn't done that in a while. If he can, he's an element player. He's a big, strong player. He commands respect. He makes everybody on the team stand a little taller, maybe hang into the scrum a little longer, knowing that he's coming in behind them. He and I have talked about this, like the NHL, I don't think we got pushed around last year, but there was 3 or 4 teams that felt a little more comfortable than they will be if he can still play and be on our roster.
Alex, if they were to bring Milan Lucic onto the opening night roster, and he's your fourth-line winger, and it's Torpo with Lucic, and then you can kind of flip things around, but potentially either Nathan Walker or I would say most likely you're probably going with Bjugstad as that fourth-line center with Carbonneau on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
So if Carbonneau and Lucic are there, that's probably the way that it's constructed. What that means is that Walker and Sonny would most likely be your 13th and 14th forwards. In that scenario, it means you do not keep either Texier or Matthew Joseph. Now, that's not the biggest deal in the world, but it does take away some of your depth. And so this is one of the things that I think it sounds strange because they're not battling for the same spot in the lineup. I do not think that Carbonneau has any chance of playing on the fourth line this year. No. I do not think that Lucic has any chance of playing above the fourth line this year.
No.
So they're playing for different roster spots technically in the lineup. It is difficult, though, to make the math work to have both of them here. When you were not anticipating either, and now you could potentially have both, that is where you start to get rid of some of your depth that you were hoping to have going into the season, because you could lose one or both Joseph and Texier via waivers in that scenario.
Yeah, and there's really no other way around this because everybody with the exception of Justin Carbonneau is waivers eligible because there's no guys that are waivers ineligible. So if you wanted to carry an extra forward and just go 6 defensemen, well, Matt Kessel's going through waivers, and he's probably going to get claimed. And that's more detrimental to your team because you don't have any other depth on defense. I personally believe a Matthew Joseph would sneak through waivers because I don't see a lot of teams that would take on that $3 million for a fringe player. It's only 1 year, but still, I think Texier gets claimed and I think Sundqvist gets claimed. So really your options are, if you believe Carbonneau makes this roster and really want Milan Lucic, you're going to have to put 2 of those 3 through waivers, which my guess would be Texier and Joseph, and hope that they don't get claimed. But there's also wiggle rooms. There's outs that you can do. If you think that Carbonneau's only going to be here for 9 games and you want to see it, and you tell Lucic, like, hey, man, look, we think you're going to be a piece of this team. We'll call you in 9 games once we see what Carbonneau is. That's how you can work around this one. The tough part there is another team might call and say, hey, Milan, we heard you had a great camp. We need somebody on our fourth line. So it's not an easy thing for the Blues to do. My gut would tell me that if all of this happens and everything goes the right way and you want to make this work with Carbonneau and Lucic, you send both Texier and Joseph through waivers and hope and pray that both don't get claimed.
Yeah. Do you think this is likely? Like, do you think what? Let me ask it this way. What do you how would you rank these scenarios? One of them makes the team, both of them make the team, neither of them make the team.
If I had to do a ranking from 1 to 10, 10 being the most confident, I would say a 10, one of them makes the team. Because I think Milan Lucic has a head of the competition going into training camp. And now if you look like you're competent in one preseason game, I think you make that squad. I would say probably like a 4 or a 5 that both of them make this team, because I just don't know with Carbonneau. I don't know. He might go out there and just look like a boy against men in preseason games.
And that's fine, by the way.
That's
that
what
is
it's
not a big
supposed
deal.
to
He's
be.
19 years old. The shock is that we're even having this conversation. The shock would not be that he ends up getting into preseason action, looks a bit overwhelmed by both the speed and the physicality of the game, and goes back down to juniors and has a great season there. That's not the worst thing in the world at all. That does not mean he's a bust. He looks, out of all of the rookies that we have seen so far in camp, it's a limited sample size. Want to make that very clear. He has stood out the most to me.
For sure.
Out of any of the young players that we have seen.
And just to address a side note on that one, because I saw somebody text into our Air Comfort Service text line saying if Carbonneau makes the roster over Dvorsky's a bust. Yeah. You got to understand something. Carbonneau started in juniors hockey when he was 16 years old. He's already played 3 years of juniors hockey. Both Stenberg and Dvorsky spent a majority of their young careers playing over in Europe. They were playing in men's leagues when they were 16 and 17 years old. Dvorsky had a half of a season taste of the AHL. Stenberg had a half of a season taste in the AHL. So Carbonneau is further ahead in terms of development than those guys, which is why we're having this conversation. Hockey sense is right there with Carbonneau, at least in training camp. It's just going to come down to what you look like. I think the least likeliest scenario out of all of those that you gave there is neither of them make the team.
Oh, interesting. We see this differently.
Yeah, I think because to me, Milan Lucic fits the role, even what Jim Montgomery said, where it's like he brings a lot of what we felt like we didn't have last year. They want what he has. It's just, can you play? I think he's going to make this roster. I think the hard part for Carbonneau is the numbers game. You just don't want to lose Texier and Joseph because of the depth.
So I think the most likely scenario is that one of them makes the roster. I would say Lucic would be the one that I think is more likely, but in either scenario, I think it's most likely that one of them makes the immediate roster opening night. It could mean that one of them makes the roster for the first 9 games, Carbonneau, and the other makes the roster starting in game 10. I liked that scenario that you presented there, Alex. I think that is very possible. The second to me most likely scenario is that neither of them make the roster, and they just take the roster that they thought they would have coming into camp, and they say, you know what, we're pretty comfortable with Sonny and Walker and Toropchenko. We can fit in a couple of other guys in that fourth line. We can kick down somebody else if we need to from the top 9, and Bjugstad if that ends up being necessary at any given time. That is a scenario that I think is very possible. And then I would say the least likely scenario is that both end up on this roster. Because I think you do have to sometimes play the roster game. I know people get annoyed with this. I do, with the Cardinals and how they do the path of least resistance. But there's a reason that teams do this. You don't have to lose Texier. You're choosing to do so. Yeah. And you're choosing to do so because you want to see some time with either Carbonneau or Lucic, or in this case, both. It's just not necessary. Do we think that Carbonneau is going to be that much better as a 19-year-old than what Texier or Bjugstad would be in that role? I would personally say probably not. So you're starting the clock early. You're removing a year of development for him at the juniors level, and you're removing a player from your roster that, even if we don't see it, the Blues seem to still think highly of what Texier can bring to the table. So I would say most likely scenario for the Blues is that one of Milan Lucic or Justin Carbonneau make the roster. Second most likely is that neither of them make the roster. And the least likely scenario is that we see both of them on the opening night roster.
Yeah, I the only reason that I partially feel like there's a better chance that both make the roster is in the moon and the sun align with this. It's a perfect world. Carbonneau goes out there and looks like one of the best players because he's playing with Shannon Hollow. And they're like, man, I don't know if we could send him back. Let's see what he looks like. Because at worst case scenario, he's bad for 9 games, but he sees what it takes at the NHL so that next year he's on our NHL roster. Best case scenario is he looks like he fits and he's actually providing offense and fits on this team. I mean, I was looking at it and just kind of seeing, guys that have scored 40-plus goals in the QMJHL, which is his junior league, that made the NHL at 19. One of the last recent guys to do it was Andrei Svechnikov with Carolina. Played 1 year in junior, and then started his NHL career when he was 18 years old. He scored 20 goals and had 37 points that year. The difference, this guy was a 2nd overall pick. Carbonneau was a 19th overall pick. But sometimes that doesn't matter. You get overlooked. I think that the Blues, if they feel like Carbonneau needs to be on this team for 9 games and Lucic needs to be on this team, and they're like, man, do we really want to take this chance? The only reason that could happen is if they truly believe they can sneak one or both of those guys through waivers. Because if one gets claimed, I don't think that's the end of the world for them, because they would still have a Lucic, they would still have a Sundqvist and a Walker. That's 3 guys for 1 spot when Carbonneau goes back. And then the hope is, if you're the Blues, 2 months into the season, 3 months into the season, Dvorsky keeps developing. Stenberg keeps developing. And it's like, okay, if we need because of an injury, we can go get one of those guys. So that's my only thought process of, do I think this would happen? More likely than neither of them make it, because I think the Blues would say, hey, if we lose one to waivers, it's not the end of the world. Can we keep one through waivers?
All right, so Carbonneau, Lucic, those guys definitely stood out on the ice today for us. They're also new guys, so you would expect us to have our eyes on them more so than many of the players that we've seen time and time again. By the way, Holloway looked once again very good on the ice. No surprises.
I got why Monty called him the Energizer Bunny yesterday.
Just a freaking beast with his speed bursts.
He's very, very, very good. All right, one of the other things that we noticed, though, Alex, after being out there over the last couple of days, is just the presence that Jim Montgomery seems to have on the ice. Now, you are around the team with practices more than I am. And so I have not seen a whole lot of Jim Montgomery practices. Honestly, a lot of the time we're just getting ready to be on the air while the Blues are taking the ice. So seeing him out here for his first training camp that he's putting on as the Blues head coach, you can feel it. Mm-hmm. It is different than what we saw a year ago. And this is not to diminish anything, but kind of. But the coaching situation today feels quite different than the coaching situation that the Blues had a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel bad because all we do is bash on poor Drew Bannister.
It is what it is. He clearly wasn't an NHL head coach.
He's doing woodwork right now.
I love you, Drew.
Look, it comes down to, because I told you guys when we were watching it, he reminds me a lot of what Ken Hitchcock was, which shouldn't surprise anybody because Ken Hitchcock was one of his idols and still a guy that he talks to when it comes to coaching. But it's just the way everybody is watching him and reacting to him. Berube had this as well, to where when Berube would say something, the guys would see it, react, and then he would react. Bannister was just a whole lot of going through the motion and Bannister looking around and seeing other guys. He had a camp the way that he wanted, but it was a lot of delegating to a Steve Ott or who his assistant coaches were, and they were kind of running most of this. Plus, look, again, this is not a shot at Drew Bannister, but Jim Montgomery has a presence. I mean, Jim Montgomery has won everywhere he has played and coached. He has also been a guy who has one of the best records in the National Hockey League. He has coached David Pastrnak and Patrice Bergeron and future Hall of Famers. So when Jim Montgomery talks, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to listen. Plus, I was a part of a team that went on a unprecedented run last season and made the playoffs. So there's just a presence about Jim Montgomery, and I think Doug Armstrong said it yesterday. He's going to set the tone so that the players know what the tone needs to be. And that's what you want out of the gate when it comes to the opening of the regular season. Because if you don't have that, then you do what you suffered from the last 2 seasons of starting off 500 and needing to have a hot streak to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean what you said there.
Hey, T-Bone, good to see you.
Sorry,
am I hogging up the show?
No,
Sorry,
I've been communicating with others, making sure that everything is good on our end, so we can stay as a show on air. What you guys are saying about Montgomery. The other thing too, and I think it's important in this wasn't a shot at Bannister, but you could read the tea leaves, right? Bannister got a 2-year deal. Everybody knew he was kind of the stopgap coach until they were ready to kind of exit the retool. So yeah, it's a little bit harder compared to when Doug Armstrong signs Jim Montgomery to his contract and says, this is the Blues head coach for the length of this contract. There is no question. There is no, the players disagree. No, the players are now going to have to listen to Jim Montgomery because that guy is here, and you can just see he's got that presence with him. And then, like you said, on top of it, he's been a winner. He's earned the respect from what people have seen from afar, and he just has a good relationship with a lot of the guys that are on this roster from his time as an assistant coach with Craig Berube.
I looked at this because I mentioned it 2 days ago to you guys of what's their record in that first month or up to Thanksgiving. They are legit 1 game above 500 in the last 3 seasons going up to Thanksgiving. So you're a 500 team in the last 3 seasons. A coach has been fired in almost two of those last 3 seasons, and you've had to go on some type of run to even get close to the playoffs. You need the coach to have that presence to set that tone so that the players come out of the gate swinging. And that's what, at least for 2 days of camp, it's felt like with Jim Montgomery.
He's Alex Ferrario. That's Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Brandon Kiley. We've got Jordan Deacon back in the studio for us today, handling things in Creve Coeur. If you guys want to get involved in the show, 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line to do so. You can always check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. That is where the graveyard chat is off and running. We've got Jeremy, Zookeeper, Master Sin, Richard, IROC, a bunch of people over there, Splashback Deuce hanging out, all chatting things over in the YouTube chat, youtube.com/101ESPN STL. In 15 minutes, we're going to get into Ask Us Anything. So if you guys have any questions, sports or otherwise, we'll answer them coming up here in just a bit. But next, it is time for our weekly football pick-em here on BK and Ferrario.
Can't get me hockey.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Jordan Deacon. This Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals are back in action tonight. They're opening a series against the Brewers. First pitch at Busch Stadium tonight is at 7:15. The Blues are at Centene Community Ice Center today for day 2 of training camp. The first preseason game is tomorrow. We will have pregame for you right here on 101 ESPN at 5 o'clock, and then puck drop will be at 6. And STL City is also in action tomorrow. They are playing in San Jose at 9:30. I'm Jordan Deacon. This Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite. Bernie Federko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring.
Alongside Alex and T1, I'm BK.
3 days we've been out here, man.
Ferrario here on 101 ESPN.
You thought you would have figured that out after Wednesday.
No, just like our technological issues, I am still figuring things out as well.
Hey, man, do you want me to be your designated button guy? I'll push your buttons. Pushing on my buttons, babe.
There's no chance T-Bone's
No, I've heard this. I don't know.
Do you know who sings it?
No, I don't know who sings it, but I have heard
Pussycat
this.
Dolls, right?
Dolls. God, I love Nicole Scherzinger.
Okay. Yeah, I should have known that. I do know that song, though. Mostly because I've heard Alex sing it like a billion times
Don't
since
you
I
wish
started
your
working with him.
girlfriend was hot like me? That was the other song. God, what a great time it was to be alive.
What does push on my buttons is Alex, the way that he has performed in the football pick'em challenge thus far.
Yeah.
11 points in the first 2 weeks. For those not familiar, we do 3 picks a week. You get a 1-point play, a 2-point play, and a 3-point play. You add those all up. I'll do the math for you so you don't have to at home. That means you get a possible 6 points. Alex has 11 in the first 2 weeks, which means he has missed exactly 1 pick so far, and it was a 1-point play. Pretty damn impressive stuff.
Thank you.
By Alex, which means you can start us off this week.
Crap.
Alex, for those, again, unfamiliar, it's a very simple game. You choose against the spread numbers, not totals. And we're not looking at player props here. The only real rule, it's got to be against the spread, and it has to be played prior to us coming back onto the air on Monday at 11 a.m. So Monday Night Football, ineligible, even though I do like one of the sides in that game.
I don't like anything about that game.
I like the Ravens in that one. I liked, by the way, hey, you guys see the game last night? Dolphins plus 11.5.
You should have made that as your pick 'em.
I would have had we had the pick 'em yesterday.
Yeah,
all right,
but then
Alex.
it wouldn't have gone your way if you would have done that. So, all right, I'd like to, before we talk, preface what we're going to do with this pick 'em, and I'll echo what T-Bone sent to our group text earlier today. I hate all of these lines for this week's pick 'em because I don't believe in any of them.
This is going to end incredibly poorly for me, but I actually really like 4 lines. I have 4 lines that I liked, and I had to eliminate one of them.
You know me. I just wipe out the college football line of things, so I'm all NFL. So 1-point play. The reason it's 1-point play is I don't like it very much, but T-Bone, I'm going with your Rams plus 3.5.
Oh,
they're in Philadelphia. I think this is going to be a very tight football game, especially for how the Rams lost in the playoffs last year to the Eagles. I love everything about this Rams offense, and I'm hoping that Philadelphia is still just slowly playing it out of the gate. So I think this is just going to be a field goal football game, and I hope the Rams plus 3.5.
I would like to go next because my 3-point play of the week is T-Bone's LA Rams.
Son of a...
Plus 3.5 on the road at the Eagles. I think the Rams right now are playing as though they are the second best team in the NFC. I think the only team that I can say definitively is better than them is the Green Bay Packers, and they've been the best team in the NFL. There is no close second so far this year. Give me the Rams. I do not think that there should be a hook on this. I think it should be a 2.5 to 3-point line. I like the hook. Give me the Rams plus 3.5 on the road at Philly.
Only reason I'm okay with me and him having the same one, T-Bone, is
first.
No, mine was the 1-point play. So if it's wrong, it's his 3-point play.
Fair.
So that's good for me.
Yeah, I looked at this one. This was on my radar. It was like in my top, I think 7 that I looked at that I kind of liked. And I said, boy, I don't want to bet against the Eagles right now. I've said this all week. Look, they don't look right. I'm not going to be the one to bet against them until I actually see it go poorly for them. So that's why I stayed away from it. But I did have my eye on that one. Guys, my 1-point play, it's a rivalry game, and it's named after a platypus, the Platypus Trophy between Oregon and Oregon State. It is a huge line. It is a minus 34.5 spread for the Oregon Ducks, and I think they are going to cover that easily because their offense looks awesome when they go up against nobodies. Oregon State is living on this idea that they used to be in a power conference. Yeah, their recruiting doesn't show it anymore. The Pac-2, as it is right now, can't bring players out west. Oregon is going to blow out the Beavers at Oregon State. So give me the Ducks minus 34.5.
34.5 is just an insane spread. And you're
It's a
like,
lot. Oregon does this, though. I mean, if you're going to pick a team to do it, Oregon is the one. They do blow out their opponents that are bad. I mean, they beat Oklahoma State 69-3 a couple of weeks ago.
But it's the Gons. It's the battle of the Gons.
I would be hesitant on this. Oregon State is bad. I don't know that they're this bad. So we'll see. It's not a line I would have selected, but I get it. I get the theory of it.
All right, 2-point play, obvious in the NFL. The team, the Denver Broncos, guys, they don't look very good right now. Bo Picks out here throwing it like crazy. You know who does look good? The Chargers. So I'm taking the LA Chargers minus 2.5. It's a home game for them. I think they have been one of the best teams in the AFC so far through 2 weeks. I just like Justin Herbert versus Bo Picks. Are you picking this one as well? Please do not pick this one as well. Although I guess
this one?
Do you have the other side of it?
My 2-point play this week is the Los Angeles Chargers minus the 2.5
this is
points.
great because I still win
against the Denver Broncos. I love the Chargers this week. If I didn't love the Rams as much as I do, and I love the number on both of these games, I love getting the hook with the Rams and only having to lay the 2.5 against the Broncos. I think the Chargers are the better team. I think a lot of this is preseason hype that's still baked into the Broncos. I think the Chargers are like a 4 to 4.5 point better team than the Broncos going in. I like the side.
Well, let me tell you, let's sweep this one because I've got the LA Chargers as my 3-point play for this week because I look at that Broncos team and I don't like what I've seen from their offense. But the biggest reason I'm taking this isn't because of the offense that I've seen from the Broncos. It's their defense. Their defense doesn't look good. Herbert looks awesome. I think the Chargers win this one by a touchdown, so that's my 3-point play.
Well, and the Chargers defense looks awesome, too. And so it's like Bo Picks has already struggled in 2 games of the season. Imagine what it's going to be against this type of defense. This is great. This is going to be the least amount of anxiety I've had to pick them because if you guys win, I do, too. If you guys lose, I still win. My 3-point play, the one team that I am very confident in that has been bad and will be bad this year are the Carolina Hurricanes. They're at home.
Carolina Hurricanes?
The Carolina Hurricanes. Sorry, Carolina Panthers.
We can't pick hockey.
Hockey's on my brain. No preseason games this weekend?
Damn, if you're betting on preseason,
I would have gone with the spread. Wait till you hear my money line tomorrow night. I'm taking the Falcons minus 5.5. I've been a very large skeptic of the Falcons, but I don't believe in anything that the Panthers are this season. Their quarterback is not good. The Falcons' defense is actually really good. So I think this is an easy touchdown plus victory.
I thought about it. Road game, Panthers at home, that divisional opponent. Sometimes these games get a little wonky and they're closer than you'd expect. So I didn't end up going with it, but I think it's a more than acceptable pick. I went to the college game for mine, so I knew you weren't.
I'm guessing we probably have the same college game would be what my gut tells me.
I think probably not. Yours is probably what my other pick would have been. I'm guessing you do not have my 1-point play.
My 2-point play is Miami, Florida versus the Florida Gators, another rivalry game. This line has moved down to 8.5, so I like that even more. So Miami minus 8.5 against Florida. Guys, the Gators defense is good, and I thought, okay, that almost scared me away. I'm not trusting DJ Lagway. I think he struggles. I think Carson Beck may struggle in the first half. I think the offense will eventually get rolling for the Hurricanes. I think they win this one easily. Miami minus 8.5 is my 2-point play.
So I had that as my 4th option. I was going back and forth over the last 24 hours between the game that I selected and Miami minus the 8.5. I did see that it dropped a little bit this morning. It was at 7.5 all week. Yesterday bumped up to 9.5. Today is back down to 8.5. So I do like that line. It's a good pick, T-Bone. My 1-point play, though, is also on the college side of things. Every advanced number that you can find says this is one of the most mispriced games on the board. Arkansas has had a great start to the season. Their offense looks explosive in every possible way. And every advanced number says they should be favored by 1 to 3 points against Memphis. Memphis is a 7.5-point underdog. At home against Arkansas. The other factor here that I find to be really intriguing about the game is the spot for Arkansas. Man, it's a tough one. Classic letdown spot for Arkansas. Last week, big game on the road at Ole Miss. Disappointing loss for them in a close one. Next week, at home against Notre Dame. The following week, on the road at Tennessee. And then after that, home against Texas A&M. Big game last week. Few big games coming up. Sandwiched in between a weird road trip to Memphis. Go ahead and give me Memphis. I've got them plus the 7.5 points at home against Arkansas.
I had this one on my radar of Memphis on the points as well, because I looked at that and said, Arkansas, they can't really stop anybody. That's one of their big things. This becomes a shootout. I can totally see where Memphis covers. It was grouped with like 4 games that I had in the college slate that were just on the outside looking at. I actually really like that pick.
Thanks, Timo.
I don't even care about any of my picks because, frankly, this is a win-win for me.
Oh, Alex has basically found a way to avoid punishment this week.
Yeah,
By us selecting
because
as many
all
of
of
the
us.
same games as Alex had, you almost certainly will avoid punishment for this month. It's going to come down to me versus T-Bone.
Oh, God, you love
And
to
since
see
we
it.
both have the Chargers game, it's going to come down to Oregon and Miami for T-Bone and Memphis and the Rams for me. So T-Bone is strangely going to be rooting against his own self-interests with the LA Rams, because if they win, he has to be unhappy that I had the Rams as well.
Yeah, I don't really
That's a
like
rough
that.
one, man.
Yeah, not a fan of that. I thought at first, by the way, when he said when you look at the numbers and he started to kind of tease out that Memphis play, I was like, this son of a gun is going to take Indiana on the points, isn't he? But I'm glad to know he's not.
No, actually, that one, most of the numbers say Illinois plus the points is the right play.
Now it's creeped up to 6.5. There were some people I saw that were kind of 50-50 when it was at like 3.5. Now 6.5 does feel a little high. I agree.
All right, our picks for the week. Alex and I both have the Rams game plus 3.5 versus the Eagles. That one's on the road. We all have the Chargers minus 2.5 against the Broncos. Alex's 3-point play this week in the NFL minus 5.5 for the Falcons. They're on the road at Carolina, not the Hurricanes, definitely the Panthers. T-Bone is going with Oregon minus 34.5 against Oregon State. That's his 1-point play. He likes the Miami Hurricanes, where game day will be this week against Florida. That's his 2-point play. And then for me, my one outlier play on the week is Memphis plus 7.5 against Arkansas. Those are our picks. You can make yours as well, whether you want to follow or fade. We can do all of those over the weekend, have some fun together. We'll give you our results coming up on Monday. In 15 minutes, we're going to talk to our guy, Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie. We'll catch up with him to see what he thinks is the biggest developmental curve for a 19-year-old trying to make it into the NHL with a guy like Justin Carbonneau. We'll talk to Mike McKenna about that coming up here in just a little bit. But next, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything. Any questions you may have, sports or otherwise. We'll get to those next here on BK and Ferrario.
Alex Ferrario here for Dobbs Tires and Auto Centers, the real deal for real deals since 1976. You can let Dobbs' team of 600-plus tire technicians and auto service associates care for your family's vehicles. And hear me talk about them all the time. Yesterday, Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers had a really cool event, the 25th annual Dobbs Charity Golf Tournament to benefit St. Jude's at Tapawingo National Golf Club in Sunset Hills, a day full of fun, golf, and camaraderie to benefit St. Jude's. It's been a long-standing tradition for Dobbs to help out other charities who need their support over the last 25 years, and yesterday they took care of St. Jude. So with locations all over town, they'll help you choose the tires that you need, already sold at the lowest prices in town guaranteed. Quality name brand tires that will definitely suit your vehicle and, most importantly, your family budget. So check out Dobbs' money-saving deals over on their website at gotodobbs.com and let the tire and service pros at Dobbs take care of your family's vehicles. Be sure to check out Dobbs' money-saving deals. Again, go to Dobbs.com. Dobbs, the real deal for real deals since 1976.
Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite. Bernie Fedorko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring. You've got questions, we may have the answers. Maybe. It's BK and Ferrario's Questions and Answers on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and T1, I'm BK. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything. If you guys have any questions, sports or otherwise, go ahead and get them in right now, and we'll answer them here in Ask Us Anything. From the 636, guys, between Mizzou and Illinois, who will be the first to get their first loss on the season? I think it's Illinois.
I do too.
Probably this weekend.
Yep.
I don't say this one with as much malice in my heart as the last time that we talked about this. Because that was me just being a hater. This one, I think Indiana's really good. And Vegas agrees with me. Vegas has them installed as a pretty significant favorite. It's a bigger number than I honestly expected it to be. Illinois is going to be without their, I think, number one corner going into this weekend as well. And the quarterback for Indiana is really starting to turn some heads, so much so that some have put him as their number one eligible quarterback for next year's NFL draft. So I think it will be Illinois. I would project them to lose this weekend.
Yeah, I hate saying this. I don't know if it'll be this weekend or not, but I think it will be Illinois as well, because South Carolina, I really like Mizzou's chances. UMass, I really like Mizzou's chances. The next two games for Illinois, at Indiana, home against USC, and your best corner is out now, and it sounds like Scott could be done for the season with some kind of foot or ankle injury, and you're going up against two pretty good quarterbacks. So, yeah, I think it is Illinois. I hope it's only one loss, not two, when I say that. But that's why that line really jumped for that game, because now that Scott's out, man, I'm very worried about their secondary in that game.
Yeah, I think Mizzou's first real shot at losing is Alabama, and Illinois got this one to deal with right now.
All right, from the 314, any of you guys head to the Cardinals game this weekend? Also, what foods do you get whenever you go? I will not be there this weekend. Previously, I was planning to go this weekend, but
Blues preseason action is on, and you're like, I got to watch this.
Alex has Blues preseason going on this weekend. He'll be a part of the pre-post and intermission on that side of things. T-Bone is going to see his Illini lose in Bloomington, and I'm going to Mizzou this weekend. So, to be honest, like, it's just about time. Where are you going to best use your time? And for me, I think the best use of my time this weekend is to go to Columbia instead of going to the Busch Stadium ballpark. So none of us are going to the Cards games this weekend. That being said, best food to get whenever I go, we typically end up going to Big Chicken down on the lower level, the first baseline. It's shockingly good. It's Shaq's Chicken Spot that's in the stadium. It's actually pretty good stuff. So that's where we end up going most of the time.
Mayo ketchup's solid too.
Huh?
Mayo ketchup.
Yeah, you could have took
one
me
of
there
my
a couple
favorite
years ago.
restaurants in town.
When we went earlier this year, Katie and I found it was like a St. Louis barbecue spot. It was on the lower level, but it was like pulled pork and brisket nachos. Oh, it was so freaking good. Plus, they did it right with the nachos, because the nachos were like the real crispy ones, and they put dry barbecue on it. They don't put wet barbecue to make the chips soggy. So shout out to you guys.
All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. From the 314, guys, will more teams follow the Packers in getting a game wrecker pass rusher as the recipe for success in the NFL? If you can find that guy, absolutely.
Yeah, we'd love them.
One of the reasons why this was such a shocking trade to those, because those guys don't exist. They don't grow on trees. There's like 5 of them in the NFL, and 4 of them never changed teams.
And they traded them in the same freaking conference.
Yeah.
Like, when you have a legit potential Hall of Famer, you trade them away from your conference so you don't have to see them other than one game out of the season.
Teams try, and they fail because they don't become available. But yes, absolutely. Everybody would love to have their version of Myles Garrett. That'd be great. There's like 3 of them in the entire NFL.
It's just like everybody would love their version of Connor McDavid, but those just guys don't float around very often.
There are 2 things that you need to have a successful football team. Number 1, obviously, quarterback, and I think number 2, closer. That is a legit pass rusher.
Yep.
From the 314, guys, college football is known for having coaches that are extremely unlikable. Which coach do you dislike the most currently?
Mine's easy.
He said theirs is between Brian Kelly or Kurt Cignetti.
Oh, no.
Cignetti has a lot of haters. I kind of like him. He's a little brash, but I get it. He's not particularly likable.
Mine's Ryan Day.
Mine is Dabo Swinney. Since day one, his act just does
You don't
not
like
work for me.
positivity?
Yeah.
That makes sense, actually.
I don't know if there's one that I really hate. Ryan Day would be up on that list.
Ryan Day, when things are going well, he just has this puss look on his face. It's like, come on, man. Can you be happy just a little bit?
Just keep going, bud.
I'm not sure we're allowed to say
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. From the 314, other than T-Bone, do you guys still have the bitterness toward the Rams because of Kroenke, or are they just another team to you? I think everybody in St. Louis has some level of bitterness towards the Rams, for sure, because of what they did, obviously. That being said, it's our job to analyze the NFL, and so I try not to use that as a way to analyze the football team.
Yeah.
My job is to be on here telling you guys what I see. So I see a very good football team.
I hate that we don't have a team in St. Louis anymore. I don't know if the hatred's towards the Rams as much as it's just towards Kroenke. Like, because you see the logo, I still think of all of the memories that I had when I was 9, 10, 11 years old with the Rams here. When they moved, it was kind of like dead to me, but I still watch them. It's like I won't turn the television off when the Rams are on. I just dislike Kroenke.
All right, from the 618, guys, I'm an NFL free agent fan in St. Louis. Is the best team bandwagon currently to join the Indianapolis Colts? Well, that's a good question. If I was a free agent
I'm not
fan
joining
right
a
now,
team that has Daniel Jones as my quarterback.
Yeah.
I think I've been pulled into the Bills Mafia over the last few
Bills
years.
Are very fun.
I love everything about that team, man. They're just fun to watch. And then seeing Donnie get so into it has been fun for me. That's probably been the one team that I've enjoyed watching over the last few years.
I think the Bears would be an interesting one to join right now. You're potentially getting in on the ground floor. I love the Bills. If I wasn't a Chiefs fan, that would be the team that I would most enjoy watching. But you're like joining at the top. There's one thing left for them to do, so it doesn't get a whole lot better from here. Right? Like you already have the quarterback. You're right at the precipice of winning it all. And once you get that, like, what do you do? So if you're a Bears fan, dude, you're getting in on the ground floor where it sucks.
That ground floor might drop even farther, though.
And you could potentially experience a lot of heartache, which is what builds the excitement of winning later on. Like, part of the reason why 2019 felt so amazing for Blues fans was twofold. One, all of the calluses that were built over the years and years and years of playoff failures. And also the way that season began, the fact that they were not good for the first 3 months of the year. So I think it's, in this kind of a setting, best to join a team that's on the ground level or still.
So everybody head over to the Panthers.
Yeah, I don't want to join at the ground floor. I'll join at like the second or third floor.
Detroit's
like, how about
another fun
Washington?
one.
You know, Washington's a team that's they're out of that bottom floor. They've got the franchise quarterback, new ownership that seems like they're, at least competent.
Titans could be an interesting one.
Yeah, because you got the quarterback.
Relatively local.
Yeah.
You could get to games if you're trying to do that. They've got a quarterback that's at least interesting. I don't love the coach, but that could be another one. And they're getting a new stadium soon.
Yeah.
So, I could see some appeal toward them as well.
Yeah, I'd say Nashville. Yeah, that would be a good one. And I'd Washington if you're okay with not like maybe going to games.
All right. From the 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. From the 314, this guy's name is Uncle Brendy. What is your favorite thing about the text line and or the YouTube chat? I love getting instant feedback. It's one of my favorite things. Whenever I played sports, it was one of my favorite things about that is you get instant feedback. One of my favorite things about running is you're always getting feedback on your times, all of these different things. I like getting the instant feedback from the audience on if something is playing well with you or if it's not. Whatever it may be, that's my personal favorite thing about it.
I don't know if I have a lot of positive things to say.
You don't like immediate feedback?
Yeah, I mean, immediate feedback.
Mine would be being humble.
Yeah, I mean,
like
I
you
guess
say the wrong word and then the text line all sends
you know
it
what?
in.
I'll go down this way. I like the creativity sometimes we get on this text
I
line.
would say some of the names are pretty good.
Names are
text
good.
Line and
Sometimes people come up with really funny tweets or texts that they send in, not tweets, texts. And then like yesterday when somebody mentioned that they make shelves out of oak barrel or whiskey barrels. That's pretty cool. I wrote that number down. I'm like, I might call him to find myself and buy one at some point. So that's the positive. The negative is there's a lot of you that are just angry all the time.
Yeah, there are some for sure, but that's part of it, right? We do this for a living. The fact that people are emotional as sports fans is why we have jobs. If they weren't emotional and they weren't engaged, then sports radio here in St. Louis would be much like sports radio in Miami. where there's not a whole lot of passionate sports fans that are living and dying on what the Dolphins do day to day. So that's part of what makes it special, doing it in a city like this, a city that truly does love all of its local teams. All right.
Back-to-back texts. You suck. You guys suck.
Yep. There you go. See?
Oh, great. There's your instant feedback.
I didn't say it's good feedback. I said it's instant. Coming up in 15 minutes, the Cardinals appear prepared to enter a full-blown rebuild. We'll let you hear what Katie Woo's latest piece over on The Athletic had to say about that, with interesting reporting from inside of the Cardinals organization. We'll get into that in 15 minutes. Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie, joins us next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here to tell you about my friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, which is coming soon here to the Show Me State. So starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account here in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. As new Missouri customers, download that DraftKings Sportsbook app today, and when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. DraftKings Sportsbook is going to bring everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we officially go live here in Missouri, you'll be betting with the sportsbook app that's trusted by millions. Safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite. Bernie Federko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring. We're going between the pipes with former NHL goaltender Mike McKenna.
Saved by Mike McKenna. How do you like me now?
Between the Pipes is refreshed by Macadoodle Spirits, fine wine, beer, and cigars. Now open in Darden Prairie.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. It is time for our weekly conversation with the former NHL goalie. He joins us each and every week on behalf of Macadoodles. He is the great Mike McKenna, joining us via the Callier and Thompson hotline. Mike, appreciate the time as always, man. How you doing today?
Well, I'm great. You know why? I had another great morning on the ice at Kirkwood, and here's the thing. I walk in the door, and they're giving me a hard time because I was on air last week talking about having a good day and being proud of it on the ice and scoring a couple goals. They start ribbing me. They're giving me a hard time, like I'm a showboat. So you know what I did? I went out and popped a hat trick this morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
There it is.
Atta baby.
Good luck surviving around hockey players because they will just rib you. I got called man boobs for an entire hockey season thanks to that broadcast booth.
Well,
the funny thing is, we're not even keeping track of score or anything, you know. We're so casual about it.
Well, you are. You're keeping score. Think that's another hat trick for Mike McKenna?
That's for sure.
all right, Mike, we have real hockey to discuss today because the Blues have taken the ice each of the past couple of days to start out their training camp. We've been able to get our eyes for the first time on a few of these players that are new to the Blues system. I wanted to start with Justin Carbonneau because he is a player, the Blues' first-round pick from this year, only 18 years old. He'll turn 19, I believe, in November, if I'm not mistaken. I wanted to ask you about that transition. Going from juniors to the NHL level, especially at that age, Mike, it's incredibly rare. How difficult is a transition like that?
Well, in this type of setting, in a training camp or even in a rookie tournament, it's a pretty easy transition. You're surrounded by people that are your same age or at least close to it for the most part in a prospect tournament. But when you get to the main camp, that's where you really hit it. And that's where the speed of the game, the vision of the players, and it's not the speed of the players, mind you. Like these players that are coming out of junior hockey or college hockey at 18 or 19 years old are just as fast as NHL players at this point. Like the training is through the roof. They can stick handle in a phone booth. They can skate faster than you can believe. But they don't process the game the same way as somebody that's been in the NHL for 10 years has done it. And you also just don't know the defensive details that go along with it, as we've seen that play out with certain players. So it's daunting, but I'm telling you, these prospect tournaments are such a great way for the players, especially the top-end ones, to start to feel comfortable because they're wearing that NHL jersey. They find some success. And we've even seen players go into a prospect, have a great prospect camp, and make an NHL team just riding that momentum.
Mike, if I'm not mistaken, you were on that Ottawa team the first year for Brady Tkachuk. I think he was 18 years old, and it was only a few games that you played with Ottawa. How does a locker room take that in to where, like, especially if you're the Blues, where you tasted the playoffs last year, you see the roster you have of a lot of veteran guys, how does a locker room take that in of seeing a 18 or a 19-year-old playing at game number one?
It's exciting, and what really makes a difference is when it's somebody like a Brady Tkachuk. And what I mean by that is when Brady walks in the building, the pedigree's already there, but he's a guy that just works. And he doesn't say anything wrong, and he just carries himself in a professional manner. And that's really what you're looking for from a Carbonneau or a Dvorsky, any of the young players that are just coming out, is as a veteran player, you're kind of feeling him out a little bit. Is this kid cocky? Is this kid super skilled? Is he quiet? Do we need him to come out of his shell? Where does he fit in? It's actually really exciting, I think, for the leaders to kind of get to know some of those younger players because they're going to be your teammates eventually, maybe sooner rather than later. But you also get to leave your stamp on them as a bit of a mentor. And you get to help guide them and assimilate them a little bit. So I think in general, as players, we're a little bit apprehensive whenever somebody young shows up with a whole lot of clout because you're expecting a kid with a massive ego that's had everything handed to him on a plate their whole life. And then when it's somebody like Brady Tkachuk who walks in and he's just one of the boys immediately, it's like, first off, huge breath of fresh air and a big sigh of relief, but it's also like, wow, we're going to be able to build around this guy for the future.
We're talking to Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie. He's joining us on behalf of Macadoodles, as he does each and every Friday here on BK and Ferrario. Mike, when you look at a player on the other side of things who's been in the league forever, Milan Lucic, we're getting our first experience with him at Blues camp this week as well. He looked fine at camp today, certainly had the imposing presence that we've come to know from him at the NHL level for years. When you see somebody that's been out of the league now for a couple of years and is trying to make his way back at a camp like this, what would you be looking for to know if they've still got it?
As a general manager, I honestly don't know how realistic anybody's looking at. I'm trying to be as brutally honest as I can here. I don't see a world where Milan's going to make an NHL team. I just have seen this before. It happened in training camp in Dallas when a former teammate of mine came out there, and it was a year outside of the game, and he came back and tried out. And, they always look fine. They look the part. Why? Because they played the game forever, how to play. It was R.J. Umberger who I was with, who I'm talking about. R.J. was a good NHL player. But he tried to come back in 17-18 with Dallas, and it just didn't go anywhere because you're just not in sync with how the game is. So, I mean, if you're looking to get Milan Lucic at the absolute bare minimum contract that maybe he's going to play a few games and you need some weighty up front, maybe he could fill that role. But honestly, I'm just looking to see a guy try to have some fun and fit in again at the league and try to round out a career that probably ended a little bit early in Lucic's eyes, I would think. And this is a chance for him to just go out there, prove to himself he can do it. And you know what? Maybe it's not the Blues. Maybe a team takes a flyer on him that needs a little bit of extra juice up front.
On another forward, Mike, this should surprise nobody, but Dylan Holloway looks like one of the best players on the ice 2 days in. We talked about this a little yesterday, and I don't know if it's just me getting super excited, which typically happens at this time of the year.
No.
But can you see a Dylan Holloway, Mike, maybe take that next step into potentially being another star for the Blues, like a guy who could push 80-plus points?
He already is. Yeah, and he will. I'm convinced of this. I don't think that there's any – as long as Dylan Holloway stays healthy, he's going to be knocking the door on 80 or 90 points. And I'll die on that hill. I think it's going to happen. Last year was such a huge step forward for him, and it wasn't a fluke. You see this sometimes with players like – I remember Jeff Skinner being 18 or 19 years old in Carolina, and he scored what felt like 70 goals in his rookie year or something. It wasn't that many, but the guy filled the net. But you're also looking at him going, well, he's like 5'10", he looks like a rail, he's not really hard on the puck, but he's just scoring. It wasn't sustainable for a Jeff Skinner. When you look at Dylan Holloway and the way he carries the puck, like if you go to training camp or you watch these preseason games, watch the tripod he skates in, how low and powerful he is with it. How he's willing to go into really tight spaces with the puck and manufacture goals. I think we're just starting to see the peak on him. I don't think he'll ever be a 100-point guy, but I think the potential's there. 80, 90 points, absolutely he can do it, especially if he gets paired up and gets rolling on that top-end power play. If it starts off the year hot, I think you could see that out of Dylan.
We're talking to Mike McKenna for just another couple of minutes here on BK and Ferrario. Mike, one of the things that I did want to mention to you is that Dylan Holloway worked this offseason with the speed skating coach for Canada. Can you describe for us what an offseason of training looks like for some of these players? I mean, whether it's the speed, the skills, what are these guys doing in an offseason nowadays in order to improve their games?
Well, I'll give you a little firsthand perspective and then flip around. The best thing I ever did was come home and put the gear away. And I'm not kidding. I had a season in Binghamton, New York that couldn't have been worse. It was Albany, New York. Those towns, they compete they're not great. I had a year in Albany to completely forget on every level. and I wasn't sure I'd get another contract. And every summer I'd come home and skated all summer leagues, and it's nothing but breakaways and backdoors. And I really wasn't enjoying it, but in my mind I was thinking, man, I'm going to lose it if I don't skate. Totally wrong thinking. I put the gear away for almost 3 months. I ended up getting a contract from Ottawa, went to Binghamton, and had a great year, resurgent year. You guys can look up the numbers yourself if you want, but outplayed Robin Leonard, others. Like it's real. And I think what I found out is that I needed to focus on other things for training. And it's interesting you mentioned that about Holloway that he went to go do speed skating and train with, maybe not do speed skating, but train with somebody a little bit outside the box. In today's world, you're seeing more of that, where the players, they're still doing on-ice things, but they're really focusing off the ice. And when they do hit the ice, it's with a purpose. They're not just going out and shooting pucks or just going out and playing summer hockey. They're going out to train. They're going out to get better with their tight turns. They're very focused with it. That's been a last 10 or 15 years thing. And when it relates to my game, I did the same thing. I stayed off the ice, but when it was time to come back, I focused on minute details to improve those portions of my game rather than just going out and being passive and skating and getting reps in. It had to be with a purpose, and that's exactly what you just described Holloway doing.
Mike, we'll get you out of here on this. You join us each and every week on behalf of the fine folks over at Macadoodles. For anybody that's going out this weekend, enjoying the weather once again, what can they come out to Macadoodles to see this weekend?
Well, the fall season is in the air. We finally broke the heat yesterday after what seemed like 140 degrees for the last week and a half. And you'll know it when you walk in our store. Pumpkin beers, they're here. Oktoberfest beers, they're here. We've got the Angry Orchard Thriller Pack. It's got like Jason Voorhees on it. It glows in the dark. It's 4 different flavors of hard ciders. They're really in demand. Those just showed up today. I just got a brand new 6-pack of Penelope Cigar Blend. And now that I said this on the air, they're probably going to be gone in 30 minutes. So you better hustle up here, folks. Our wine room, it just got in some 90-point wines, 99-point wines for under $30. French wines, Jean-Marc Bourgault. I don't speak French great, but we're at the point where we're getting new stuff in every week we believe in. The bourbon keeps flying. And I want to announce this now. We just figured out we were going to do it. We're going to have a barrel pick of Penelope X Spanish brandy cask. Never in the state of Missouri. The first in the state of the Missouri. We're going to have it at Macadoodles in December. It'll be exclusive to St. Charles County. It'll be our bottle. It'll be our barrel. We're going to have it. We got a couple other barrel picks coming in, but we're super excited about that Penelope.
That sounds awesome. Well, Mike, I appreciate the time as always, man. We look forward to doing this each and every week throughout the NHL season, especially now that we have real hockey to be able to discuss once again. All the best, man. Enjoy yourself this weekend. We'll talk with you again next week.
That sounds great. I'll be out at the rinks. My kid's got a couple deck games. Kirkwood Hockey's in full force, man. It feels real. Super excited. Talk to you next week. Thanks for having me.
It's a beautiful thing. Appreciate you, Mike. That's Mike McKenna joining us as he does each and every Friday here on BK and Ferrario. In 15 minutes, we're going to catch up with our guy, Brad Thompson, former Cardinals pitcher, World Series champion, now Cardinals analyst, of course, for FanDuel Sports Midwest. He will join us in 15 minutes. Speaking of the Cardinals, they appear prepared to enter what is a full-blown rebuild. We'll let you hear what Katie Wu reported on that earlier today. Coming up next here on BK and Ferrario.
From Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center, this is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite. Bernie Fedorko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring.
Alongside Alex and T1 on BK. So this is reading straight from Katie Wu's story earlier today over in The Athletic. Quote, multiple people within the Cardinals organization have been told to expect significant roster turnover this offseason. That does not just apply to Nolan Arenado, who expects another offseason of trade discourse as the Cardinals attempts to move him, or veterans like Contreras and Sonny Gray, who have been hesitant to waive their full no-trade clauses in seasons prior, but could entertain the notion now that the team's immediate future is clearer. Just how long a rebuild will take is yet to be determined. But because of the Cardinals' record and the state of their farm system, multiple sources in the organization project at least a 2 to 3 year rebuild before the team can be a legitimate contender again. She continues. The Cardinals prefer to rebuild through the draft and development model, which will draw out the process, but the line of thinking internally is that the method is the best chance to ensure sustainable success in a small market like St. Louis. All right.
It's funny that they think 2 to 3 years to get back to competitiveness.
I don't think that's overly optimistic at all. I think in baseball, it's already been a couple of years of them going through this process. 2 to 3 years should be the plan.
I'm with Alex.
More like 5 to 6, but sure.
I, first of all, hate that they're calling themselves a small market. I understand that technically speaking, it is a small market, but this market has always outperformed its market size, in part because of the TV deal. I get that, but also in part because of the fan support. And by going through a multi-year rebuild, you're punting on that. And so you're basically saying we have to operate that way again because that's the only way that we can operate, because we're not going to have the fan support that we once did. So I hate that, but it is what it is. No real reason to push back.
I think that's an ownership decision that wants to operate as a small market team.
Absolutely, it's an ownership decision, and that's why it will take longer.
Yep.
Because there are ways that you can avoid going into a full rebuild where you're losing 90 games a year or whatever it may be. There are ways to avoid that here in St. Louis, even right now with the way that the roster is currently constructed. But clearly they're choosing against that. I think the headline here from Katie Wu's story, we mentioned this yesterday, T-Bone, on our Redbird report. By the way, you can see that, youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. I just want a direction. I want to know what the plan is, put it out there clearly, and then hopefully your actions will follow that up by, hey, this was our direction. All of the actions that take place in the offseason are headed in that direction. It's a clear through line from point A to point B to the start of the next regular season. All right, cool. I can live with that, even if I disagree with it. I think they have laid out clearly through this piece by Katie Wu what the expectation should be. The Cardinals, the headline, Cardinals heading for a rebuild. A true rebuild. No more retool. No more claiming this is something that it isn't. This is a full-blown rebuild. How does that hit you guys?
It's weird to say this word, but satisfied that they finally picked a direction. Frustrated because I think this probably should have began a couple of years ago. They should have seen the writings on the wall for how bad their minor league system was and what they have on their current roster and said, this is not going to cut it. We need to make decisions. But I would imagine for a lot of people, it goes back to anger. Like what you said at the beginning is absolutely correct, BK. You don't have to do a full-blown rebuild. You choosing to operate as a small market team is the reason why you're going into a full-blown rebuild. Like, I go back to what Doug told us on Wednesday. Like, the ownership for the Blues did not have, and I understand it's different because there's a salary cap, but the ownership didn't have an appetite to go into the full-blown rebuild because they thought that they could navigate those waters differently. And it's frustrating to the sense that the Cardinals don't believe they could navigate that differently to maybe try and be aggressive or maybe spend to go get a superstar or something like that. But I think it all encompasses too satisfied because the Cardinals need to do this. You are not good at identifying talent. You are not good at developing talent, and your major league talent right now are just a bunch of complementary pieces. None of this is the recipe to be good in a couple of years. So you have to go this route. The problem is you're doing this at the worst time because you can't be bad enough to get top picks anymore, because I believe we were talking about this. You're ineligible after this season to draft in the top 10 with the lottery. So you're kind of in the murky middle without still being in the murky middle, but I appreciate the fact that they're honest and they're picking a direction.
Yeah, I think it's good that they're picking a direction, at least from them kind of quote-unquote leaking it towards the media. What it will really come down to is, do they sell this message when they speak to fans on their end-of-season press conference? Because it's one thing for this, right? It's a whole other thing to go out there and try and nail a press conference when you have Chaim Bloom speaking to Cardinals fans for the first time. And then, because I think last year what gets lost is I think Mo did a pretty good job of saying what their direction was going to be, which was, hey, we're kind of giving runways this season. Then you had the DeWitts that were speaking. It's like, yeah, but if we win in the first month, maybe then we have fans come out.
Yeah, they're actually still treated it as we're going to try and compete.
Yeah, so then ownership was the one that kind of made that message blurry. That can't happen this year, but I think it is time that they got here. And I think this is the first time that it's really made sense for them to enter into this rebuild, because they got it wrong with Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman, the guys that were supposed to be the saviors for the rebuild.
It makes me sad. Like, seriously, I think this sucks. I hate everything about it. I get it. I don't blame them for choosing to do this, because this is where you're at, and eventually you have to admit reality. But this sucks. Brendan Donovan should never be a player that the St. Louis Cardinals are looking to trade. But they're in position where they need to do that this offseason. I think it's crazy that they would explore trading Sonny Gray this offseason. You're not going to get better by doing so, certainly. And you're also potentially going to have to rush a prospect to the big leagues or pay close to what you're paying for Sonny Gray anyways to trade him. Because you're probably going to have to spend, let's say, $10 million to cover some of the cost, because it's a $35 million deal next year. I don't think he's worth that. So $25 million for somebody else to take him, you're paying 10. And then you go to the market and you spend $10 to $15 million for a stopgap veteran starter that's going to give you 1 year. You hope to trade him at the deadline, whatever. It's what every rebuilding team does. I'm not blaming Cardinals for it. But so now you're paying $20 to $25 million for a starter that's clearly worse than what Sonny Gray would have been. So why not just keep Sonny? But again, it goes back to, well, if he's got multiple teams that are interested in him and multiple teams are on his list, you could get an okay return. Sure, I get how you end up in that spot. All of this just sucks. I hope people understand what this means, man. Rebuilding is miserable. You think this team's been bad? You just wait, man. You ain't seen nothing yet. You think that it has been a lack of content talking about the Cardinals over the past couple of years? Boy, you just wait until we get to June. And we got a whole lot of nothing going on elsewhere. And the Cardinals have lost 5 straight, and there's nothing about the team that's compelling for this year. And everything is about, when are they going to get good again? Well, probably 2028. That sucks. That's miserable. That's a rebuild. So for me, I'm just sad. This is brutal, man. Everything about this is the antithesis of what I've come to know Cardinals baseball to be. So the fact that they're willing to go into this, I think, speaks to how bad they believe things are within the organization. I also hope people know, I wouldn't imagine that Ollie Marmol's getting fired this offseason if this is the plan. There's no reason to do so. He should get an extension. He should get 2 more years added on to the 1 year that's currently on his deal. He's going to be here probably, I would assume, for the next 3 years, and then you can make your decision on if he's the manager that you want to lead your team to the winning again. But right now, there's no reason to pay him to go away, just like there's no reason to keep Brendan Donovan. You know, it's just a brutal place to be. And if I'm a Cardinals fan today, I understand why they're doing this. It is the right thing to do, and I hate it.
Yep.
I hate it more than anything.
This is it's gonna be brutal. I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. It's gonna suck. There's a lot of factors that go into this. I wonder if ownership realizes that lockout strike is coming, and it makes sense to try and cut this as much as possible. But I mean, it's going to be for 3 months in the middle of summer when Cardinals dominate this area, and Cardinals dominate all the time, but specifically in the summertime when there's nothing going on and you're hoping to seek some competitiveness, people were already tuned out of this team. Now it's just a matter of not even thinking about it. And that doesn't bode well for what what it looks like in the future, because people will have their opinion of the Cardinals. And when they want to try and start competing, people will come, but people will still be frustrated that the Cardinals took that route. So, this is going to take more than just a couple of years to put a roster in place to rebuild. You're going to have to rebuild the fans' trust back, too.
And by the way, there's no guarantee this works, right? I mean, we've seen it before. I mean, you mentioned, I think it was the White Sox yesterday on the Rebel Report. They went into a rebuild. They thought they had a core, and then they went right back into a rebuild. Like, these things do not work like teams expect them to do.
Look at the Orioles. It worked, and then it's
for
failed.
a year. Yeah, they might be going back to a rebuild. But that's the part that, to your guys' point, it does suck. I do think it is the right call. I mean, I think they had to go this route. I said at the beginning of the year, if you could not develop Walker, you could not develop Gorman, these bats didn't take the steps that you were looking forward from them this year, you had nothing else coming. And I think this will be the lasting legacy of John Mozeliak. You know, Mo had his good run as the president of baseball operations.
Yeah.
This is what he's going to be known for.
You're the guy that put the Cardinals into a rebuild.
Yep, he's the guy that saw them reach the pinnacle, but then stayed around too long and fell behind as an organization under his watch. This is what he's going to be known for here in St. Louis.
It could also be part of what is the story of the DeWitts, right? Like, they came in, they inherited a team that needed to have an infusion of talent, an infusion of excitement, and you have the McGuire years, you go into the Albert years, and then you have the 2010s where you have success post Albert. Like, all of that is a big part of the DeWitt ownership story, but also you can't tell that story without having told what the last 3 years have been. All right, he's Alex, that's T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Brad Thompson about the Cardinals and what excitement there is about this team. That's next here on BK and Ferrario.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Jordan Deacon. This SportsCenter update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. This weekend on 101 ESPN, you can hear the Blues' first preseason game of the year. They're taking on the Stars tomorrow night. Pregame right here on 101 ESPN will start at 5 o'clock, and then puck drop is at 6. And then on Sunday, we've got NFL and more Blues hockey for you. The Vikings and Bengals pregame will start at 11 a.m. Blues versus Blue Jackets pregame will start at 3, puck drop at 4. And then to top it all off, the Giants versus Chiefs will have pregame at 7 and kickoff at 7:20. I'm Jordan Deacon. The SportsCenter update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite, Bernie Federko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring. We're hanging with Brad Thompson on 101 ESPN.
Hanging breaking ball from Brad Thompson. And boy, does he get a swing on it. Lift and separate and see you later.
Hanging with BT is sponsored by St. Luke's, ranked top 2% in the nation for cardiac surgery by Health Grades. Visit stlukes-stl.com.
I'm DK. Happy to go back out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by our friend, Cardinals analyst for FanDuel Sports Midwest. He is Brad Thompson joining us here on this show. BT, what's good, man?
Are you guys all there today?
We're all here, man.
I know that it is hard to believe.
Goodness.
We not only have the three of us, we also have Jordan Deacon, and knock on wood, we have only had one technical difficulty thus far out of Centene.
That's it? Only one? I remember broadcasting out of there. That's a win, dude.
Amen to that. Hey, speaking of win, BT, I golfed like you over this past weekend.
You did?
Yeah, I was on the green putting for an eagle, and then I 3-putted and I got a bogey.
Oh, that hurts so bad, and I'm so proud of you because I know next time it's going to be better. Next time you're going to putt for eagle and get a par.
Yeah, and I wasn't as good as you, though, because I didn't take money from anybody. So yours was more successful than mine.
Well, look, it's baby steps, right? Because Ricky did pay me with money that I paid him before, and he's going to be able to do that for quite some time.
So you got your money back. That's a good day.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
You just end up like the same $20 bill that's in your wallet that you just hold in there. It just goes back and forth. It just always changes hands. It's for that reason.
You should just put it in an envelope and then just pass it back and forth every time you guys play.
All right, BT. Cardinals in action this weekend. It's the final homestand of the season. Katie Wu had a piece earlier today about how the team is planning to go into a multi-year rebuild. What are you watching for the next 9 games of the season, man? What is on BT's top of the list?
Look, for me, it's just individually for every guy. Finish strong. Like put your best foot forward. You got a new regime that's taken over. It's not like anything you're going to do in the last 9 games. You're going to be like, holy crap, I didn't know he had that. But who knows, right? So what I expect to see from a really young group is playing some tough baseball and going out there and taking some big at-bats. It's kind of late in the season to think that you're going to see some wholesale adjustments from certain guys. You know, you'd certainly like to see it from a couple of guys. Jordan Walker right now, unfortunately, looked lost at the plate. I don't know how he's going to fix that in 9 games right now. But these are an opportunity. Every single game right now down the stretch is an opportunity to look forward to 2026, right? So the hope is that they're able to do that. So guys, right now, pretty much this whole roster outside of some guaranteed contracts are fighting for jobs next year. Let's see what kind of fight they have here down the stretch.
All right, BT, we asked this question yesterday on our podcast. I'm curious your answer to it. If you had to name one player on the Cardinals roster this year in a runway season that has changed your opinion of them the most, whether in a positive or a negative way, who would that player be in Brad Thompson's mind?
Well, you know me better than to know I'm going to pick a negative way because that's probably not the route I'm going to go.
I put it out there. You just never know, BT.
No, I know. Got a couple of options there, but not going to do it. Gosh, changed my mind in a positive way. You know what? I won't even say changed my mind, but I will say reaffirmed it to a whole nother level with 2 guys. is Herrera and Burleson. Like those two, like I was pretty sure that they were good big league hitters, and now I'm certain that these are big league mainstays in lineups. Like I truly believe that about both of those guys. Now with Herrera, we're going to find out what it looks like behind the plate. How much better can he get there specifically? It's not even the catching part of it and the framing. It's the arm, right? Can he get a little bit more there so he can slow down the running game a little bit? But for Alec Burleson, all the dude does is hit, and he hit lefties this year. He's gone the other direction. So they've really reaffirmed some things. I would say the other way around with everybody else is really still kind of the same questions that they were kind of hoping to answer. But I am interested from your guys' standpoint, who did you land on?
So the positive side was what you said, Herrera and Burleson. I think those are the two guys. Yep. And then on the negative side of things, BT, I mean, there's a number of different answers that you could give. I gave this one. I went with Lars Nootbaar. And it's not because he's had like a terrible season, but I was always somebody that believed there was more in the tank. There was something more there. And I don't know if that means a star-level player, but, you know, a 20-home run hitter that hits for decent average, gets on base at an elite level, plays plus defense, and is a plus runner on the bases. That's a really good baseball player that you can build around. And despite him mostly staying healthy this season, it's gone in the other direction. The average has gone down. The slug has gone down once again. OPS is below 700 now. So for me, if they are doing this, the true rebuild thing, and we're talking about it being a couple of years before they're good again, he would be the one that I've changed my tune on, from him being a core member of what the Cardinals are building to him probably being a trade piece this offseason.
Well, yeah, I think it's a fair take for sure for Newt. And I was with you on hoping that this was going to be a season where you'd see those jumps. And I guess with Newt, too, and I'm sure that part of your math on that is his age, right? He's not 23 or 24. He's 28 years old. So I think that's a good one. Did you land on the same one, Alex?
Yeah, that was one for me. I mean, the obvious one is still Jordan Walker. In the sense of you gave that runway, and now it looks like he might not even be an everyday player or even a Major League Baseball player for you next season. Those were the two. And then it's hard to say with Liberatore, but in a negative sense, I was hopeful at the beginning, and then it kind of turned back towards, man, I don't know if he's a all-season rotation arm, but he was more of kind of like reaching more so than Jordan Walker or Lars Nootbaar.
Okay, yeah, I still look at Libby this year getting through an entire season the way that he's done as a positive. We'll see what it looks like next year, springboarding. I will add one more positive on there because I didn't know what to expect, and he wasn't necessarily in the mix early, is Matt Swanson, who I look at him now and be like, dude, that's like your 7th or 8th inning or maybe 9th inning next year. Like, who knows what that looks like, but he is firmly in the mix there at the back end of your bullpen now.
We're talking to Brad Thompson for another few minutes here on BK and Ferrario. You can see him on FanDuel Sports Midwest and hear him basically every day here on 101 ESPN as well. BT, out of curiosity, when you're on a team like the Cardinals and you're going into the offseason, I know you didn't have a whole lot of seasons like this, maybe really just the 1 year that you spent in Kansas City, but what is this time going to be like for some of these players knowing, hey, man, next year's probably going to be a little different? Like even this year, you still had Helsley, you still had Arenado. There was a decent amount of hope that the team maybe could surprise some people. What's that like as a player when you know, hey, our team's probably going in a different direction now?
Yeah, it depends who you are. And I think that for as young as this roster is, BK, and as much as we talk about guys that need to earn jobs, I don't even think that part of it factors in, like the idea of what are we going to be as a team going forward, because most of these guys can't even think further than what is it going to look like for me. And I don't mean that as they're selfish players. I mean that as they got to figure themselves out before they figure out the us, right? I think I need to know myself before I know who we are. So I really don't think that factors in. Now, for some veteran guys, it might. And there might be some veteran guys that kind of voice it and say, look, hey, maybe I do have a no trade, but if you have a chance to move me to a winner, I would appreciate that. Like that could very well factor in, but I really don't think it's part of the math for most of that team. For most of that team, the thought should be, this is my biggest opportunity I've ever had in my life. This offseason has a chance to be the biggest one, whether it is fine-tuning a swing or redefining the way that I'm approaching the game, or transforming my body, like getting myself in better shape or the best shape that I've ever been in because because I got some real opportunity here. I think it's an exciting offseason for a lot of these guys. Will there be some uncertainty? Yeah, because of some of those guys that are wearing the birds on the bat right now will be wearing a different jersey next year. I think that's just kind of how it goes in the offseason, especially when you go through a transition, a new regime who's got some new ideas. But that's got to be an exciting time knowing that you have all that opportunity there.
BT, not to be Debbie Downer with this, but I am curious.
Boy.
I know, I'm sorry, but
we go.
I genuinely am curious because your final season you played with the Royals, and I mean at the time, BK knows this better than anybody. That was just like in their DNA was losing, and you left a Cardinals organization that winning was all they were about. What's that like as a player when you get into that environment? Like, how do you keep yourself pushing through a season in that environment?
Yeah, so in obviously a totally different scenario with the Royals and where the Cardinals are right now. It's a really good question because you almost find yourself being okay with it. Like I remember first a couple weeks where it's like you lose a game and then afterwards it's like, what's to eat? And there's music on. Like, what do you mean? What are we eating? And there's music. Like, this is supposed to piss us off right now, and it didn't. Right? They did a really good job with the Royals of changing their culture and getting the right guys in there, so they flipped that. But when you are, and if you're one of these clubs down the stretch where you had high expectations and you're out of it, you really have to force some of those negative thoughts out, and you really do. And this might sound bad, but you almost have to get greedy, like from a personal standpoint, because if you dig into everything that you can do as an individual, if enough guys are doing that collectively, you can have some team success. But when you're part of a culture that is just losing, and then it feels like it, there's a weight of it in the room. And I've told you guys before, right now during this transition here with the Cardinals, they're young, they're not winning a ton of games right now. You don't feel any of the heaviness. Like you see guys working every day, you got a good atmosphere, and it's not hey, we're just here playing baseball. No, like they're just young guys that are working and going through it. But if you let some of that negativity creep in, it festers, man. And that's where I think it's really important to have the right leadership around, whether that leadership is a veteran player or it's the coaching staff continually harping on the right stuff, because it is a scary thing when it starts sliding.
Alex, I was born in 92. From 1994 to 2013, do you know how many times the Royals won more than 75 games?
I want to say like once or twice, maybe once.
Twice.
What is it?
Twice in 20 years.
That's a lot of stink.
In those seasons, which were seasons that I remember fondly, they won 77 and 83 games. That was the pinnacle, man.
Look, man, I told you I wasn't trying to be Debbie Downer. BT even said it was a good question, so I was curious.
Yeah, you think this is bad.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
But it is Debbie Downer, so.
BT, appreciate the time as always, man. Enjoy yourself this weekend. We'll talk with you again soon.
No problem, boys. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.
See you, BT.
That's Brad Thompson joining us as he does each and every Friday here on BK and Ferrario. Yeah, those Royals teams, this is like frustrating. It's not fun to watch night to night. But these past few seasons, just to put this in context, the past 3 seasons for the Cardinals would have been the best seasons by the Royals between 1994 and 2012.
Yeah.
That, by the way, is the rebuild that fails. This rebuild that fails.
Well,
the rebuilds and fails.
That's a really why I asked that question, because I've had these conversations with Vitali. Like, once you get that stink in your locker room, it is really hard to get the stink out. Yeah. And BT was a guy that was in a winning culture that expected to win, and you were around a group of guys who had been there for 10 plus years. It was like, yeah, we're going to be bad again this year. And that's where that's the concern if you're the Cardinals, is like, you go into this, good luck getting out, man, because that stink could carry on for the next 10 years.
It's really hard to change that culture. All right, that was Brad Thompson. Appreciate his time as always. If you missed any of our conversation with him, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com. The free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. That is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
I was about to say Dobbs Tire and Auto Center.
No.
By the way, the 101 ESPN app is indeed sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Center.
One update, we are going to have Nick Bjugstad joining us in about 10 minutes or so.
All right, beautiful. Nick Bjugstad at the top of the hour. Junk Drawer coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite. Bernie Federko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring. Let's open it up. The Junk Drawer with BK and Ferrario.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Let's dive into the junk drawer. T-Bone, what do you got for us today?
Guys, what do you hope to be doing when you're 58 years old?
Sleeping.
58. That's about 25 years from now.
Oh, my kids will be, the youngest will be 26.
Yeah.
So she'll be out of college.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. I hope to be in an RV traveling with my wife.
Oh, that sounds fun.
That's what we want to do.
Honest to God answer, probably doing this.
Oh,
Will this exist in 25 years? I have no clue. Dude, I don't know if it'll exist in 5.
Have some aspirations that you make a lot of money and you can retire at that time.
Dude, this is all I've ever wanted to do. It's all I'm like somewhat good at.
You hear that,
T-Bone?
T-Bone?
Would argue even
T-Bone, you hear that?
Bad. What do you mean?
Nothing, man.
I have no other.
You just said it might fail in 5 years.
Yeah, like I have no other skills, so this better work out for me. So to answer the question, like this is my point.
You don't want to try and be like, you don't hope, because what, you'd be
56, 57?
So I guess you're, what, like 4 years away still from retirement at that time?
I mean, dude, I'm not retiring. I'm going to work the rest of my life.
I hope I can retire at some point.
The reason I asked that question.
Can you imagine a 60-plus-year-old Ferrario doing pre- and post games for the Blues?
No.
Yeah, man, you wouldn't be the only one.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in.
Be falling asleep in periods. The reason I bring this up.
Real quick, Bernie Federko, how old is he?
Yeah, but Bernie's a Hall of Famer where he's like
69.
Yeah, Bernie's a Hall of Famer. I'm a loser doing a pre and post game for the San Jose Sharks in the middle of December that ends at 2:00 in the morning. Bernie can pull that off. I'm a loser where it's like, hey, old man, go back to bed. We don't need to hear your takes anymore.
Yeah, I got nothing for that. The reason I bring this up is because 58-year-old freshman defensive lineman Tom Cilio has decided to resume his college football career at 58 years old, playing for Division III Lycoming College. He quit in high school so he could go do drugs and then worked in parks for 33 years. He now is clean and wants to get back to his love of the game, college football, and he's getting his first opportunity
I say this,
58 years old.
I say this kindly. How many games does he play?
None. He's not going to play.
He'll play one. It'll be a fun story. He gets tackled once that says, I'm retiring.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. It's purely a story that they wanted to put out there.
He stopped playing because he wanted to do drugs.
It's a good story, but they wanted publicity for their football program, so they put this out there.
Look, man, when I'm 58, I pray that I don't have to do anything athletic.
I won't be capable of doing anything athletic. I still, like right now, I have to turn while I'm on my road runs on the sidewalk. I take a slight wrong turn, and now I've tweaked my ankle. Like that's it's not a hard thing to do.
God bless my father, because like 3 years ago, he was still playing rec league softball with me and my buddies. And it's like, Dad, I mean, I think you should stop. And then he was like, yeah, probably should. But yeah, no, I hope to be not doing that when I'm 58.
This guy's put together for a defensive tackle. 6 foot, 227 at D3. He'll bulldoze through small
defensive
linemen.
Tackle?
Yeah.
How
227?
Or defensive line, yeah.
How old is Herschel Walker? 63.
Oh, at D3, that is like big for D3.
I interviewed Herschel Walker 4 or 5 years ago when he came over to KMS because he was promoting something with MMA, and I asked him the dumb young question like, hey, how many push-ups can you still do? He goes, I still do 150 a day. And I'm like,
you could do 150 if you wanted to.
My body starts to shake after I do 5. He was 58 when I interviewed him then, and he was doing 150 push-ups a day. My arms do this when I try and do 5.
You could do 150 push-ups during our show.
Throughout 3 hours?
If you wanted to.
I don't think
I call 100% BS.
I think all 3 of us could.
I know I could.
I know I could. That's 50 an hour. My chest will go.
You could do 50 push-ups an hour?
I don't think you could.
I don't think you could.
I promise you I could.
Get down and start doing it.
I think that you guys are lying. I think T-Bone, you think you could hit a Ryan Helsley 100-mile-an-hour fastball?
That is a fair point.
And you couldn't do 150 push-ups in 3 hours?
Muscle needed for
but see, the problem is if I stop after a certain amount, your body goes cold, and then it's like, I don't think I can get back down to do it again.
Just do 10 every minute.
If you can do 150 push-ups throughout a show, I think you can avoid one of the punishments this year.
Okay, deal.
Oh, hold on. If that is a rule, I'm going to push. I'll be Stanley from the office.
Is that more of a thing for you?
No, I'll be Stanley from the office pushing through if you're going to let me eliminate one of them.
100% positive I could do this.
If you tell me right now that you
do
will.
like 50
Are you like
100
got your knees on the ground? Are you doing that?
No, we do like 50 to 100 in Pilates. So, yeah, I'm very confident over the course of a 3-hour show.
I do 50 to 100 when I do Pilates.
I think you guys are vastly overstating how difficult this would be.
I think I would be Stanley from The Office grunting through 5 of them. But if I knew T-Bone was going to accept a punishment, I'll get 150 done during a show.
Okay, we could even do this as a punishment if you guys want.
I mean, that would be a punishment. Sounds like a T-Bone punishment.
We'll go ahead and ask the text line. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Do you guys think that that is a fair punishment? 150 push-ups over the course of our 3-hour show. Is that a fair punishment? We'll go ahead and go by the text line if they think that this is going to be difficult enough, because I personally think no. But if you guys do,
dude,
we can go ahead and do that.
150 in 3 hours is wild, though.
It's not that many push-ups.
I know. It's not so much that it's not that many push-ups. It's more so like when I stop to give myself a break, I'm not sure I will get that back down and do it again. Like, that's the problem. When I exercise, it's like I got to do this in like a window. Like, I got to do 3 sets of 25 in about a 30-minute window, because after that, I'm done.
Somebody on the text line. I'm 64 years old. I could do that all day long. I do 20 push-ups at a time. My God.
I'm 16. I can do it all day long.
All right. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. Coming up at the 1 o'clock hour, we will have our NFL weekend look ahead, where we preview the biggest games of the week. We will get to one's got to go. So you give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's got to go. And we are anticipating that we will be joined by Nick Bjugstad, the Blues' new forward. We'll talk to him, hopefully, coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite. Bernie Federko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring.
Alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. Welcome back into the show. We've got Nick Bjugstad sitting down with us now, new Blues forward, joining us here on BK and Ferrario. And if you're watching on the YouTube stream right now, youtube.com/101ESPN STL, there's only a slight size difference between the three of us.
Just a little.
At this table. Nick, thanks so much for hopping on, man. How you doing today?
Yeah, guys, good. Still trying to catch my breath here.
Yeah, perfect timing to come down and do radio, right?
No, it's been good. Good couple days. I've been here for about a month. Family's really enjoying St. Louis. So Bortuzzo had great things to say about the city. So
really?
I was sold pretty good by Al Bort, but yeah, it's been great. Love the.
So how did it come about, Nick? Like, obviously you knew plenty about St. Louis because you spent time with the Minnesota Wild. You've seen the Blues. You've played against the Blues. How did the whole conversation come about signing a contract and joining St. Louis?
Yeah, I mean, free agency hit. Didn't really know what to expect. So your agent calls you when it opens up and starts, talking to this team, and it's pretty early. St. Louis called, so it was kind of a quick decision, and it was kind of a no-brainer for me. I watched and played against this team last year, especially the second half. It was a tough team to play against. So you want to join a team, especially for me, that was high on my list. I want to join a team that I think is a contender. So that this team has the makeup, it has the culture, it seems, and it was a pretty easy decision. So good to be on this side of it.
On the other side of it.
Yeah, you guys have been a lot of. It's a tough arena to play in. So.
I think we said that on the show when you signed, because I was like, God, Nick Bjugstad was one of those guys that every time he played against the Blues, it was like you assumed he was going to score a goal and you assumed he was going to be right parked in front of the goaltender.
Yeah. I think Benner, he somehow remembers all the goals he's been scored on, and he's like, yeah, you got me at the mullet on like this. I'm like, oh, you got a good memory. It's a couple of years ago.
It's like I've done plenty of those, Bitter. Don't worry about it.
I know, but
out of curiosity, at this stage of your career, when you're deciding on a team and you're getting some of these offers, you're talking through with your agent on what you're looking for, what's out there available to you, how much of it is like a role that you could come in and compete for on a team versus where they're at in their life cycle as an organization? Walk us through how that decision-making process goes in free agency for you.
Yeah, I mean, good question, because there is definitely, obviously you have to play the game of where do I fit, what is the team's needs, and what are your needs as far as where you're at in your career. Do you want to go to a team that you think is a contender, or do you want to go somewhere you could maybe make some more money or, play a little more? So, for me, it was, I had a down year last year. I struggled a bit, had surgery, and I never found my game. So for me, I had a summer where I was like, look, I think I have some years left in me. I feel good. And, I want to go to a team and try to win a Stanley Cup. So St. Louis, like I said, I watched this team. We played these guys the last game of the season with Utah, and we had no space there. You couldn't do anything. The team was buzzing, and then obviously great playoff series for them. Got to watch a few of those games. So definitely something they should be proud of, and I hope we can carry over into this season. I think we will. I say we like I was a part of it. But,
you are now.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, it was you kind of give your agent your list, like where you'd want to go. And, St. Louis was definitely high up on the list. So I was happy they called. And, it'll be a fun few years here.
Does your role on the team, Nick, play into that decision as well of where you think the team would like to utilize you?
Yeah, I think more so earlier in your career, that's really your thought. For me now, it's where do I think I can go to a team and help the team in the best way? I've been in a top six. I've been on the bottom six. I can kind of go either way. And, we all want more playing time. That's obviously the competitive nature of any professional athlete. But for me, I want to find ways just to optimize my potential any given day. So it sounds like Monty is an awesome coach and gets everyone to buy in. And, that played a part as well.
Did you know any of the guys you mentioned Bortz before, but did you know any of the other guys that are currently on the roster prior to joining the roster here?
Falk, I played with Falk since I was little, just summer hockey. He was the first guy in checking in Pee Wee's to ever light me up. I was the first, and I had my head down going through center ice, and he got me good, and I was on my back, and my dad was so mad at me because my head was down, and it wasn't a dangerous hit; it was dangerous for me. But yeah, so Falker, known him since I was young, and that's about it. I played with Robes and Holloway for a short stint in Edmonton. On a deadline, and that's about it. But it feels like I've been with this group for a little bit. I've been here for a month, and it's a good culture. And Schenner runs a great captain's practice. I was surprised at that. I said he might not have a choice but to be a coach when he's done playing, because he runs some good practices. So yeah, it's been great.
I wanted to ask you about that, Nick, because, over the last few years, you play for Minnesota, you play for Arizona, who's a struggling team. You go to Edmonton, you're playing with Utah. Just seeing the varying degrees of where teams are at in the NHL, how did you take away those experiences from a team that expected Stanley Cup like an Edmonton Oilers versus an Arizona team that was still struggling when you were there?
Yeah, to be honest, when I signed with Arizona, it was kind of the intent. I'm going to find my game again and maybe get traded at the deadline. That was kind of the conversation and kind of the goal, I guess. I wanted to be able to go for Stanley Cup, but also I needed to find a way I wasn't playing that much hockey those previous 2 years in Minnesota. And, I thought I found my game again there. I had that opportunity with Tierney, and I thought it was great personally. So like you say, there's times and places in your career where it's like, all right, maybe I need to get inserted into a lineup where I need to refine my game in the NHL, because it's hard to do. You can, once you lose your confidence a little bit in this league, it can be a hard one to gain it back. But I've been thankful for lots of opportunities and a lot of learning experiences through injuries and trades and learning from different teammates. So I definitely have had a wild ride, and it's cool that I'm here in St. Louis now.
Nick Bjugstad here on 101 ESPN, New Blues forward. I've got a couple of questions for you on your nickname. There are a couple that are associated with you on Hockey Reference. I want to know if these are actually real or not. Okay. One is Jughead. Is that a real nickname for Nick Bjugstad?
That is not. I've heard Jugs. That one's floating around. But not Jughead. What else you got for me?
The other one, and I think this one is real because it's also on your Wikipedia page.
Which is always real. We know that.
Yeah.
Rotisserie chicken.
How does that keep getting found? It is the worst. It's not a worthwhile story in any way, shape, or form, but I guess I got to tell it if we're talking about it. When I was playing in Florida, all the guys were out to dinner. I was going to meet them for a nice dinner, and couldn't find parking. So I just said, screw it. I went to Publix and grabbed a rotisserie chicken and ate it. And those guys couldn't get over it. So they started calling me rotisserie chicken in the locker room. Very not exciting story, but I don't know how that's still.
I was going to say, hold on. I don't see what's wrong with that. If it's bad parking, I'm going to go get my own meal and go back and relax.
Yeah, exactly.
That's smart.
Yeah.
How you said Jugs is more of what you heard rather than Jughead. Where does Jugs come from?
Nick, Bugs, those feel very hockey nicknames.
That's the hockey nickname related, style. Yeah, we honed in on rotisserie chicken when we saw it. We were like, "Oh, this is a great story."
Yeah. I got to find a way to get that off of Wikipedia. So
I got to ask you about another one, because we had our content day on Wednesday, and we had you in here, and we did some liners with you and played some games. And you made the joke of, "I didn't know anything about these cicadas in St. Louis."
Oh yeah.
That hit home for me, because I've lived here my entire life, and I complain about those 24/7. And then Nick Bjugstad's like, "What are these things?"
Yeah.
Like robotic bugs that are flying around.
Yeah. The first time, I heard them. I'm like, well, what are those? I had to do research on what was going on. And I heard they were louder a few years ago, to the point where you couldn't even be on the phone when it was so loud. But one morning I was out letting the dog out having a coffee, and one flew. I was out with my daughter. One flew from the tree, making its crazy noise. And I didn't realize they were so big. Yeah. So me and my daughter were freaking out, and kind of kicked it, and it took off again and did its noise. So I definitely had I don't know. They look like little alien bugs
Yeah.
to me. So I don't know.
They absolutely are. God bless your daughter, because I would have been the one screaming when the thing dropped. Like, no, Ron, go the other way.
My wife has an irrational fear of cicadas and June bugs to the point where she like sprints to the house. I will go in first, unlock the door, open it up, and then she sprints in, and then we'll make sure the little guy gets in. Yeah. Hey, Nick, this has been great, man. Thanks so much for hopping on with us, catching up a little bit, getting to know a little of your story. Let's do this again sometime soon.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you, man.
Thanks for having
New
me.
Blues forward joining us here on BK and Ferrario. Appreciate his time. We'll get into our NFL weekend look ahead coming up next. Hey, football is back, and Underdog is the best place to select entries and win money all season long. The best part about it is that you can now play right here in the state of Missouri. And I've got my plays for this weekend ready to go. I've got 3 different plays that I'm going for my entry. Alex. I've got Kenneth Walker III higher on his rushing yardage total going into this weekend against the Saints. They're terrible, let's be honest. I've got CeeDee Lamb going higher on his receiving yards. He's getting all of the targets right now. That's going up against the Bears defense. Also terrible. And they've got a promo going on right now. It lowered Malik Neighbors' yardage from 82.5 to 65.5 going up against the Chiefs defense. They're going to have a couple of big plays over the top. I like the higher on that one as well. $10 entry gets me $60 over on Underdog, Alex.
BK just showed you how easy it is to play with Underdog, and you could play with as little as $1. So download the app today, sign up with promo code BKO, and you'll get $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5 with promo code BKO. And send us some of your screenshots of the plays on Underdog with that promo code BKO. Send it over on our X account at BK Sports Talk or at Ferrario 101 ESPN. Millions of fans have already won billions making plays on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
From Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center, this is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite, Bernie Federko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring.
right, welcome back into BK and Ferrario with no Ferrario. He's walking his way back right now. T-Bone's in with me, though. We're broadcasting live at the E&B Granite Studios out of the Centene Community Ice Center. Pulling a carrier, Jamie, huh?
No, I wasn't on my phone. I was seeing a man.
I say that with love. I say that
Yeah,
with love.
no. Those guys know we love them, but I was seeing a man about a horse.
Oh, there you go. All right.
In the bathroom.
This is our NFL weekend look ahead. We do this each and every Friday ahead of the NFL weekend. We'll give you our game of the week. We'll give you our upset of the week, some of the best matchups.
Good luck picking the game of the week outside of one.
Good luck picking the upset.
Yeah, go ahead, BK.
All of these lines are like 3.
There's maybe 2 games that I'm interested
It's the Lions and Ravens. That's the game of the week.
All right, Alex, what is your game of the week this week?
I just told you Lions and Ravens.
Well, that's on Monday.
It's still the game of the week because all of these other ones don't matter.
Sunday slate.
I don't think there's a game of the week,
Yes,
but if there was one that I don't. If there's
Rams versus Eagles is the game of the week. I'll go ahead and give that one. Alex, what is your second best game of the week? That's a great game. It might be the NFC Championship game.
Can't get over
this year.
Cronky.
Come on.
That's a good rent free in his head.
It was a very good NFC game last year during the regular season. It was a great game in the snow in the playoffs last year, so it's a rematch of that. The Rams then go out and add Devontae Adams. This is a really good game.
Saints and Seahawks are probably better, but if it's not Rams and Eagles, I would probably say Broncos and Chargers.
That's a good one.
Mostly because like the AFC we've mentioned is top heavy. It's like 3 really good teams and then a field. Broncos still, despite them being bad in the first 2 weeks, have a chance to be an AFC playoff team. So that would be a good test at 305.
Yeah, those are the 2 best ones. If you're looking for one that has like potentially serious stakes in it early on, and I don't know how compelling the football will actually be, but it's Texans at Jags. Because the Texans are 0-2. If they're going to win that awful AFC South, they cannot start 0-3, and they cannot lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Jags are a team that's interesting because they've looked okay over the first 2 weeks. They just haven't been able to come out on top. Like they should have beaten the Cincinnati Bengals last week when Joe Burrow went down. They couldn't finish. They could easily be 2-0. That's quietly a sneaky game that has like real stakes here in week 3.
I agree.
So I would throw that one on this list as well.
Do you guys have a side on that you like? It's basically a pick 'em, so don't worry about the line. But do you
I think
have a lean?
I just don't know that the Texans can protect C.J. Stroud enough, and I just trust the Jaguars so far through the first 2 games more.
I would take the Texans because I don't think the Jaguars' defense is going to be as aggressive as Houston's defense.
I have the Jaguars right now as the team that I'm going to pick. I don't feel good about it, though. I don't have confidence either way. It's basically, hey, whoever was the home team, I would probably pick them. Do you guys have – let's go through a few of these games because we got a little bit of time here. The Bengals and the Vikings is a matchup of backup quarterbacks this weekend.
I could care less about that game.
I'm in total agreement, but I have to pick it for the 101 ESPN Fastlane Pick'em Challenge. So if you had to pick a side there.
I mean, I would go the Bengals because I saw the Bengals win with Browning last week.
Yeah, and we've seen them play pretty well with them offensively in the past. That Vikings defense, though, makes me a little anxious with Browning going up against them. I don't.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I still think, like, you've got multiple outs in terms of difference makers on the Bengals in terms of offense. The Vikings have one guy. Like, it's Jefferson. Shut down Jefferson, and I don't know what they're going to do with whoever is playing quarterback.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Jones is hurt.
Yeah.
For the Vikings,
which they were using using Mason a lot
he was
last week.
Kind of short yardage. Back.
Jones is their red zone
When we
guy.
need a bulldozer, here we go. We hand him the football. I actually lean Vikings because I think the defense is better than the Bengals. I think Browning and Wentz are like the same thing. Vikings are getting an upgraded quarterback potentially for this week, and I like Jefferson. They're at home, and I like Hawkinson as well at tight end. The running back Jordan Mason I think could have a decent game. Like, I lean Vikings in this one, and it's mostly because I just don't trust the Bengals defense. I don't think they can stop them.
Yeah, I wonder. Jordan Mason plus Jefferson making a couple of plays and that defense, that might be the formula. You win 20-13, go out of there, and you're feeling pretty good about it. The other game where there's going to be a backup quarterback involved, there's a few of them this weekend. The Commanders at home against the Raiders. Have you guys seen the line on this? I think the Commanders are still a favorite.
As it should be. I think I would take the Commanders in this game.
-2.5 with Marcus Mariota.
I think I would still take the Commanders in this game.
I trust the Raiders.
With Jaden Daniels, I would definitely take the Commanders, and it would be, a 6-point spread or something like that. But with Mariota, I don't think I trust him in this spot. I think I like the Raiders.
I think this is going to be like a 9-6 football game. This one's going to be boring. I don't think either team's offense is going to be able to do much with both quarterbacks that have been subpar. Comes down to defense. Max Crosby is going to make Mariota's life hell, but I haven't seen nothing with the Raiders that gets me to the point where I think they can actually do something.
Yeah, like I know their numbers aren't there. I still trust that the offense is going to kind of click, and if it does, the Commanders' defense is fine. It's the definition of fine. It is nothing to write home about. It is the definition of old.
Plus
that I would put out there.
Plus you got west to east.
Well, I mean, sure, but when you got Mariota at your quarterback, it makes up for the time lag. I think the Raiders win that football game because now you look at the Commanders, so you don't have Daniels. I have Mariota. Your running game hasn't been great over the first couple of games. Now, we'll see. I'm still high on Krosky Merritt, but I think you're going to see the Raiders go on the road and win that football game.
All right. Next one up here. We don't have to go through the games individually anymore. Do you guys have an upset pick going into this weekend? The upset special of the week for you in the NFL. There are a lot of really close lines, so it's a little tough to be able to pick one. Just being full disclosure here, but do you have an upset special this weekend, Alex?
I think the line last time I looked was like 1 point off, if I'm not mistaken, between the Patriots and Steelers. Is it still that way? Because that wouldn't fall into the.
It's 1.5.
Yeah, so that's not really going to fall.
With Pittsburgh on the road. So if you were taking the Patriots, it would be a decent upset.
The Patriots was going to be my pick because I think the Patriots can beat the Steelers. But because it's such a close line, I can say I think the Jets beat the Buccaneers.
Even with a backup quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
think Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and that defense could make life hell especially if the Buccaneers don't have Igbuka.
I don't know how much I believe in this, but I think it can happen. I think the Giants can beat the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football and send them to 0-3. You look at that D-line that we've talked about. I mean, they are a menace up front. They're having a tough time protecting Mahomes, and they're probably going to have a tough time running the football. Who's going to be the guy that gets open, becomes a game changer for the Chiefs? Like, it should be like you look at it on paper and you go, okay, yeah, they can right the ship. Man, when you kind of look at it a little bit deeper, you go, boy, I don't know. The Giants do the things that the Chiefs aren't good against, right? They can get to the quarterback and they can stop the run. Boy.
More importantly, the deep ball.
Sure,
the Giants, the only thing the Giants do well offensively, and we saw it last week, they throw a good deep ball, and they've got a couple of guys that can really go get it, especially Malik Neighbors. The Chiefs' defensive backs are not good at stopping that, and they don't have a pass rush to be able to get to Russell Wilson to make it difficult on him when he's holding the ball longer. So those are the two things that make me nervous in this game. It's the deep ball for the Giants and their pass rush. It's the two biggest weaknesses for the Chiefs match up perfectly with the two greatest strengths for the Giants. So it's a really good pick. I will take the Chiefs. I just refuse to believe they're going to go 0-3 to begin the season with one of those losses coming against the Giants. If they do, it is panic time in Kansas City because what looms is a game against the Raiders, and the Raiders are a hell of a lot better than the team that they'll play against this weekend. The Ravens are better than any of the first three teams that they've played so far this year. So 0-4 would be very much on the table.
You don't want to go 0-3 so that you have the Ravens as your quote-unquote get-right game.
Yeah. If I was going to give one, again, kind of like you, T-Bone, I don't know how much I believe in this, but there are so few options this weekend. Titans at home against the Colts. Colts have been living a charmed life for the first couple of weeks of the NFL season. I think some of it is real. I do think that their offense just needed somebody to come in and be a caretaker. They have like 6 different guys that are legitimate weapons for Daniel Jones right now, and they have arguably the best running back in the NFL through the first 2 games. Last week wasn't quite as great as week 1, though, and going on the road now for the first time in this season, going up against a team that I like what I've seen from Cam Ward. I just don't like what I've seen around Cam Ward. Could they make a few extra plays, pull off a surprising upset against the Colts at home? It could happen. So that would be my upset special for this upcoming week. Do you guys have a specific matchup? Offensive line versus defensive line, receiver versus corner, whatever it may be, offense versus a defense, a specific matchup that you're really intrigued to see how it goes down this weekend?
I've got one that I think could really set this market into a panic, and I got to tell you, it would be gold, and I would love it. Hey, Caleb, you're going against that Cowboys defense that couldn't stop the G-Man and Russell Wilson in the moon ball. If Caleb Williams can't get this right against this Cowboys defense, there's going to be legitimate questions in Chicago if he's going to be able to figure this out. Look, we can question their defense all you want, or they got shellacked by the Detroit Lions. They're probably going to give up points to this Cowboys offense because they can move the football. They're a very good offense. They are not good defensively. Caleb Williams should be able to look somewhat adequate for the Bears this weekend. He is the number one guy that I'm focused on this weekend because they are starting to sound alarm bells in Chicago after getting blown out in the second game of the season. And it would be totally fair if he can't figure it out against that Cowboys defense.
Yeah, I think mine's probably the Buccaneers defense against the Jets. And I know they don't have Justin Fields, but here's my thought process here. Without Justin Fields, more in line of thinking of what you're saying with Caleb Williams and that bad Dallas defense. And the Buccaneers have played 2 close games that they probably should have had a little bit more of an edge in. If your defense struggles to stop the Jets without Justin Fields, I don't know if I'm going to be buying that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be a playoff team in the NFC this year.
Yeah, for mine, it's going back to that Chargers versus Broncos game, and it's the Chargers offense versus the Broncos defense. Chargers offense looked great in week 1, looked completely unstoppable against the Chiefs, and it made me a little concerned about the Chiefs defense. I was like, whoa, what is going on here? That never happens against this unit. And then week 2, they looked okay. They couldn't run the ball very well against the Raiders, and they had a few big plays through the air. A lot of it, though, was like Justin Herbert finding a way to make a play, whether that was with his legs or a couple of times with his arms in a big moment. Their offense did not look nearly as dominant last week. The Broncos defense, meanwhile, came into the season with a ton of hype. They've just been okay so far this year. So that's one of those where, all right, I've got some questions about both sides of the ball. How is this going to go when the Chargers offense is on the field this weekend against the Broncos defense? I do like the Chargers to win that game. I think they win it outright and cover their 2.5-point spread. But that is one of the matchups that I'm most intrigued to see going into the upcoming weekend. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into the BK and Ferrario Rewind. But coming up next, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. For One's Gotta Go, you give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's got to go here on BK and Ferrario.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Jordan Deacon. This SportsCenter update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals are back in action tonight after being off yesterday. They are opening a series against the Brewers tonight at Busch Stadium. First pitch is at 7:15. As for the Blues, they finished up day 2 of training camp at Centene Community Ice Center today. The guys got to talk things over with Nick Bjugstad. If you missed that interview or anything else from today's show, be sure to check out the podcast page at 101ESPN.com or from your free 101 mobile app. That podcast is brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. I'm Jordan Deacon. This SportsCenter update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite. Bernie Federico's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring. This is BK and Ferrario. Time now for One's Gotta Go. We offer up the talking points, and you get to pick which one's gotta go on 101 ESPN.
Count that big pen.
314-399-9646 is the air covered service text line for One's Gotta Go. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's gotta go here on BK and Ferrario. First of all, from the YouTube chat, Master Sin says Jordan rocks. That's right. She's fantastic.
Jordan's
She's back in the studio for us today, as we are out of the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center, where the Blues have been on the ice today for training
Do
camp.
people still say that? The bomb? You're the bomb.
No.
Bomb.com.
I'll take it every time.
See?
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jordan.
Jordan loves
I
compliments.
definitely don't say that anymore, but yeah.
Really? So that's not hip?
No.
Man, you're the
I
bomb.
wouldn't think so. Alex, before we get to some of these options, you said that there was an update on who's going to be playing in tomorrow's preseason game for the Blues.
Yeah, so they'll skate here again tomorrow, and I think the game group that will skate is 11:15. And I don't believe they said what group, but you can kind of assume because Lou Korek just tweeted out that Justin Carbonneau will make his preseason debut tomorrow against Dallas. So if that's the case, and I'm only assuming with this one, you would look at it and say, so you'll see that Holloway, Shen, Carbonneau. So Group B that skated at 9:30 today would be the game group, which would include Holloway.
Game group, yep.
Did they say that's the actual game group?
I would assume so.
Okay. Holloway would be in that. Dvorsky, Suter, Kyrou. You'll see Lucic, Fowler, Mayu, Parayko, Tucker, and Hofer. That's the expected group. Again, that's just Lou Korek saying Carbonneau is going to make his preseason first game, his preseason debut, which if he is, you would imagine that Shannon Holloway group will be with him.
All right, there you go.
Haven't seen Dallas's yet, though. And remember, Saturday's the Battle of the Blues. Blues and Blue Jackets.
It's a big one.
Huge one. Nobody cares about Mizzou taking on South Carolina. It's the Battle of the Blues.
All right, let's start out with this. One's got to go pizza edition from the Big Show. Detroit style, New York style, Chicago deep dish, St. Louis style will get us started. It's obviously the last option of those 4. Alex, what do you got for us?
It's Detroit.
By the way, New Haven style pizza, very good. It's highly recommend.
It's not
What is
Detroit.
their style?
Yeah, I was going to say,
What
what's
is
their
their
style?
It's very thin crust.
Isn't that New York?
It's somewhat similar to New York, but it's slightly different. The crust is a lot different than New York. It's tomato base and then like scattered cheese. We went with pepperoni on ours, but you can get obviously a bunch of different toppings. There's also some clam pizza. That's kind of what they're known for. It's a white sauce, garlic, clam pizza. It was very good. Modern in New Haven. Highly recommend.
I said Detroit and I misspoke. It's Chicago.
Yeah.
It's deep dish. I don't
casserole?
I don't need all of that bread on my pizza.
I'm with you.
I like a thick crust. I don't need all of that bread though.
Yeah, I'm with you. Chicago style is not it for me. I don't like deep dish pizza. It's too much bread, a lot of cheese on there. I'm not a fan.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for One's Gotta Go. One's Gotta Go Day of Fun edition. Video games, casino, movies, or amusement park. Which one's gotta go? For me, it's video games.
For me, it's casino. That's not fun if I'm losing money.
I like going to the casino.
Oh, I do too. It's just I know what's going to happen, and more times than not, I'm walking up pretty angry.
Yeah.
That's not fun. Now, when I win, it's great, but that happens very rare.
I would say this is more of a night of fun thing for most of these, though. Like video games, I know that I'm different than the other 2 individuals on this show. I couldn't do that for an entire game. Casino, I'm more of a like go out there at night after you've had few drinks with the guys, go out to the casino, play some craps, blackjack, whatever. Movies is a nighttime thing. Amusement park would be the one exception. That's a full day thing.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do a video games as like a length of time and think that's like fun. Like it's fun to like sit down for a little bit. I'm not taking a shot at you. I'm just speaking like.
Well, it felt like a shot because you said literally 2 weeks ago, get a life or something like that. Something old.
So that was because you wake up at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Whatever.
Because you stay up till 3 a.m.
See, the one I would get rid of on that list would be amusement parks. Just not a fan. And part of that is because like I have a fear of like heights. So like,
I do
don't
too, but it makes me happy.
But I don't do roller coasters. So then there's just not a lot of
if it was me,
enjoyable
I'd say
rides for me.
I think if it was me, I'd say get rid of it, but it would be fun with my girls.
That's
so like
fair.
to watch them do the rides, that would be fun.
Me by
like,
myself would be kind of
that'd be weird.
Weird.
Grow up, get a life.
All right, one's got to go country
Love you,
food
T-Bone.
edition. Ham and beans, fried okra, chocolate gravy, or hog jaw.
Hog jaw. That sounds disgusting. Okra?
What is that?
It's like Brussels sprouts, essentially. Oh no, it's like they're long pieces, aren't they? Aren't they called like ladyfingers or something like that?
No. Fried okra is a
What am I
vegetable
thinking
that
of?
you eat. It's kind of similar
Yeah,
to.
that one. I heard there's a vegetable.
Oh yeah, they're
Get
kind
the
of like
hell outta
Brussels sprouts. They're just cut up into separate ways.
Yeah.
What am I thinking of? The long ones?
I don't know,
You're
but I
probably
heard
thinking of asparagus.
No, I know. No, there's something else that's like
asparagus is solid.
that they like deep fry that are like long pieces. And maybe it's just green beans. I don't know.
It could be green beans.
Yeah.
I like fried okra. I like fried okra a lot. Chocolate gravy. My buddy grew up in Alabama.
Is that brown gravy or is this different?
No, it's literal chocolate. It's basically chocolate sauce.
Okay, well, get rid of that.
That sounds
That's
good.
disgusting.
My buddy growing up, his family was all from Alabama/Tennessee, so they were like born and raised in the deep South. When we would go over there for a Friday night, we'd all hang out, do whatever, and then Saturday morning we'd wake up, and his mom would have made biscuits, like homemade biscuits with chocolate gravy for us. It was the single worst thing that I've ever eaten for me, but it was delightful. It was absolutely delightful. It's basically butter and chocolate. So how could we make chocolate a little worse for you?
Yeah.
She found a way.
That's
it was
nasty.
delightful.
That's
So for
nasty.
me, it'll be the hog jaw that's got to go.
I don't know what that is either. What this is?
I mean, it's literally a pig's jaw.
Oh,
Pig's cheek.
it can't be that bad. Can't be worse than a
'Cause
vegetable.
I don't want to eat something where it's like on a platter looking at me.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for One's Gotta Go. One's Gotta Go non-Mizzou Tigers edition. LSU, Auburn, Clemson, or Memphis. Ooh, I'm a big Memphis guy. I would say Clemson because of Dabo.
Just your hate for Dabo.
I'm not a Dabo guy.
I would get rid of Memphis because it's just not a power conference school that I would be okay with. Like, yeah, if I don't have to ever watch a Memphis football game, like I have,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Memphis would be the one that I would get
It's
rid
not
of.
entertaining at all. At least the
In
other one, there's a
basketball,
little
they're
bit of
not.
hype.
Basketball, to me, they're always overrated.
Yeah,
now,
true.
you know.
All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 636. Does BK always worry about his cart crashing into other carts on roller coasters? I'm assuming this is because of my fear on planes.
Yeah.
By the way, we saw a plane. We live out in St. Charles, so we see the planes going up and down from the airport because we're not too far. We're like on the path to get there. And Kara said, do you ever worry about like planes as they're going up and down simultaneously crashing into each other? Or is that just when you're on the plane? I was like, no. It's purely when I'm on the plane. That's a fear
good.
for me.
You're not worried about
That's
other
it.
people. It's just when I'm at
Only
risk.
for me.
Good.
To answer the question, no. However, if you're on a roller coaster and you're going like underneath the tracks and you've got your hands up, I do like shy away because I assume I'm definitely going to hit that thing as if they have never measured it out to like make sure that that doesn't happen because the liability has to be unbelievable. But yeah, I will like shrink down with my hands because I assume we're going to be close
My
to it.
biggest fear of the roller coaster would be like when you see the horror videos or pictures where they get like, you know, the roller coasters get to the peak and they slow down and then they fall down real fast. Is getting stuck like as you're leaning
Oh, see, I have two different feels
that
with roller
would be
coasters.
my worst nightmare ever.
One is because of Final Destination when the bolt came out and the whole thing collapsed.
Yep.
The other is I won't do roller coasters that flip because my fear is it gets stuck in the middle of the flip and you're
yeah.
upside down.
That's a bad one too.
Yeah, because I'll vomit. Probably pass out.
Yeah.
I've thought about, like, how do you handle that? Like, I'd find a way to get out of the cart so at least I can hold myself right side up and not want to
If
vomit.
you can't do 150 push-ups in a 3-hour show, you're not holding yourself up for help to come.
I can hold myself for a little bit and
Yeah.
then just make the decision if, I want to keep going or not.
That's like one of the events on Big Brother, one of the competitions that they have.
You're acting like the wrong people,
Yeah, you're
dude.
like, we know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're on this wall.
Talk
and
to the
it's
camera.
like motion activated. So you go up and down, and so like you're holding on, and you're trying to hold your body onto the wall as they're like, it spits water on you, and then you've got like this green slime on you, all of these different disgusting things, and you're trying to hold on tight. And if you fall
like
down,
wall
you
sits,
lose.
but with weights.
No, you're standing up against the wall, and you're like trying to keep yourself aligned with the wall. It's a tough one. It's not an easy thing to do. It's been a wild ride, and by the way, on Big Brother over the last
Insane.
yeah, Jordan.
Insane.
Jordan, you are no longer da bomb.
Hey, that's the only like reality TV show that like I actually mess with, so it's really good. I highly recommend.
You don't like Dr. Pimple Popper?
Oh God, that's disgusting.
Not the TV show. I'll watch like the regular reels and everything, but not a TV show.
Oh God, no! I turn away from
Can
that.
we please stop talking?
I was
Sorry.
what
Please
about
stop
Dr.
talking
Pimple
about
Popper when he pops people's pimples?
No, I don't enjoy that whatsoever.
You don't like seeing it happen?
I
You don't see him
really
like squeeze it?
A lot of those medical shows, just not for me.
I'm
Not
with
for
you.
me.
It's hit or miss. Some of them I watch. I don't want to watch people pop people's pimples.
No, that does
That
absolutely
makes no sense.
All right, alongside Alex and T-Bone
What
on
are we
BK,
doing?
that was Jordan Deacon. Appreciate her helping out back in the studio for us today as well. Coming up next, we're going to hit the BK and Ferrario Rewind here on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK, and it is time for you to unlock your inner champion with Victory Men's Health. They can do that in a bunch of different ways, whether that's weight loss goals that you're trying to meet, low testosterone symptoms that you are starting to feel, or erectile dysfunction issues. Hey, man, it happens, and if you need some help with it, they can help you over at Victory Men's Health. Check them out today. They have 4 great locations across the St. Louis area: O'Fallon, Illinois, O'Fallon, Missouri, Sunset Hills, and my personal location out in town and country. If you'd like to find out more information about everything it is that they have to offer at Victory Men's Health, check them out today. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. When you get over there, you can book that first appointment. It's an incredibly easy process. Put in your name, email, phone number, tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you, and then tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion. As I mentioned, they've got help with low testosterone symptoms, but also they've got vitamin infusion programs, supplement stores, red light therapy programs, cardiovascular testing. I think I'm probably going to go over there for some of those vitamin infusions prior to and then after my half marathon, which is coming up here in a few weeks as well. So check them out today, Victory Men's Health, and online at VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
From Blues training camp at the Centene Community Ice Center, this is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Bud Light, Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea, and E&B Granite, Bernie Federko's only choice for granite countertops, cabinets, and flooring. Let's run it back with a daily rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Loom, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Good show today, boys. Enjoyed having Nick Bjugstad on the show. One of my favorite Blues interviews that we've ever done. Just a really delightful guy to be around. So if you missed any of that conversation, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. That's always sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
We also were able to catch up with Brad Thompson and Mike McKenna. Talked about the report that came out earlier today from Katie Wu on the Cardinals officially entering a rebuild. We got into our football pick'em challenge where we basically all picked the same games going into this weekend, and we opened the show where we will end the show today by talking about a couple of the new players for the St. Louis Blues that we were able to get our first glimpse of today out at training camp. Those two players, Justin Carbonneau, Milan Lucic. Alex, what stood out to you today seeing them on the ice for the first time?
Well, I'll start with Carbonneau because he's the one that we said a little bit ago is going to make his preseason debut, which I would imagine Lucic will be in that group as well. But, I mean, Carbonneau, everything about Carbonneau looks like he can play at the NHL level. Again, this is training camp, and these are guys just doing drills against each other. But the hockey IQ, the hockey sense, the passes, the shot, it all matches to the guys that he's playing with. He's playing with Shannon Holloway out there, and he was making plays that I've seen Robert Thomas make in terms of passes behind the net, shots from the side of the net. I don't know what it's going to amount to. Really what it's going to come down to for him is if he can match the physicality with some of these other NHL guys he's going to go up against. But Carbonneau looks like he's going to be one of those steals in a draft a couple of years from now that people are talking about. And for Lucic, like I always thought he had a shoe up on the competition in terms of making this roster. And all he needs to do is look like he can stay at the pace of the NHL. And he looked like that in training camp. So I think he's probably going to be in the opening day roster.
Carbonneau was so impressive to me today. Just watching him on the ice, he looked the part. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that is going to be enough for him to make this roster this season. My guess would still be no. I would bet against it. But he continues to check boxes. He did it at development camp. He did it at prospects camp. He did it at today's practice. And if he does it again tomorrow in the game as he makes his preseason debut for the Blues, you start really opening eyes and you make Doug Armstrong wonder, all right, is it in our best interest to see this thing through? Where they've had him with Dylan Holloway and Braden Shin. Do you consider, hey, let's see what he looks like on the line that we would have together when Jake Neighbors gets to camp next week? That's the expectation, at least. Do you consider a Suter line with Neighbors and Carbonneau? Say, let's find out. Let's see what this looks like now so we don't have to wait until game one to find out if he's actually capable of having chemistry with these guys. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun storyline to be able to monitor no matter where it goes from here.
You'll have a better idea after he plays in Saturday's game in preseason. They'll play Saturday, Sunday, and then they're off on Monday, and they'll come back and they'll skate again on Tuesday. If you see line combinations juggled up by Tuesday, which my guess is they'll eliminate a couple of people off of the camp roster, if you see Carbonneau still skating with NHL caliber players by Tuesday, that's a pretty good sign that he's at least opened eyes enough to stay, because typically they'll get dipped down. They'll go with better line combos. Then you'll have a little bit of a different opinion of where he's at.
We do have a brand new episode of the Last Minute Blues podcast with Joey Vitale up at youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. There is a new spread zone over there as well. And T-Bone and I recorded a new edition of the Redbird Report yesterday as well. A lot of big picture conversation about where the Cardinals find themselves. We basically said what Katie had to say in her piece earlier today. So if you want to check that out, youtube.com/101ESPNSTL is the place to go to find all of that. Alex will have your Blues coverage over the weekend here on your Home of the Blues 101
We'll be live up on YouTube for every postgame this season too.
That's awesome. youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. We will also be, Alex and I, out at Blues and Brews tonight. Looking forward to meeting some of you guys out there. T-Bone will be at the Indiana versus Illinois game tomorrow, so we'll have boots on the ground there to see the Illini lose. I will be at Mizzou versus South Carolina tomorrow. Looking forward to it. It's a jam-packed weekend. Shocking that none of us said that we're going to the Cardinals game for the final series of the regular season, but this is where we've arrived. For Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, Jordan Deacon doing a fantastic job for us once again back in the studio. I'm Brandon Kiley. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you guys on Monday at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.